Oh, here we are live. Good morning, good evening, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland's session of Little Debbie's Massacre. Oops. So I was woken up early in the morning. John carries his phone around everywhere. He videotapes everything, right? So I don't know why, but he does. But I do know why, because it kind of documents everything, gives him a sense of control. Now, I just do a live stream. He just videos, and then he goes back and edits. So he broke in and said, I want you to do a commercial of Little Debbie, Little Debbie, Little Debbie, and where is Little Debbie? He had the vision of me looking like this, right? That's what he wanted me to look like. But, of course, I'm going to do what Al Bob always does, his own thing. So I took these pants that, I don't want to look like that. And see, I am under the light, the Hollywood light that makes things basically phony. This is super incandescent light. See the shadows? This light is all about shadows, all about lies, all about not living in God's love or Jesus' forgiveness, right? Then I turn that light off, and we get the more real. This is what, this is the prana of coming from outside. Anyway, he wanted to control the whole thing. I grabbed the camera, and I did my thing. And if he does his thing and edits it, I put so much stuff up there. He kept saying, there's so much here. It's going to take me so long to do this, right? So that's his, he came in and woke me up. If I had my camera, I'm going to have to leave my laptop running. Because this thing, I can go live, but it doesn't hold it up there. Meaning it doesn't put it on my channel. I don't know what Mr. Boy did. And John has no idea. He's not, he's really not the director. He really has no idea. I mean, he knows his little Microsoft, Mackie kind of, world. And I mean, this is the Microsoft world. This is like Chrome, but he's in the Mac world, and that's all he knows. And again, John is the public saint of truth. He can't help, but he has no filters whatsoever. So we were having fun, going along, and he forced me to do this thing. I didn't want to do it, but I did it just to make him happy, go along. Because I'm trying to be here to help him navigate into a safe port where he can have a life that he might enjoy. Oh, instead of, he's been up here 2.5 years all by himself, right? And we were having fun until he, like a light switch. After I made it and I put on a place, he goes, what is this? This is, you want to kill my wife. This is my wife. It's like, where did that come from? Well, there are no, anyone who is, at least in this reality, which is not a reality, it's an illusion, this doesn't exist, but man, our friend John has, his, and that's why he's the public. He's always videotaping, always putting stuff up. So do I, but it's for you guys. It's to you guys, right? It's not about me. Now, I bleed on through, just like, he wanted me to look, this is what he wanted me to look like, right? But that's not me, this is me, right? And he wanted me to do a commercial about Little Debbie, right? And zebra cakes, Now, here's Little Debbie, who is Joe Biden. This is really, look at her eyes, If that isn't Satan, I don't know what is. right? And I, he had the big movie light on me, so I was going, I want to eat her pussy, little Debbie, because little Debbie isn't a human being. He said, oh no, she's a real human being. Really? Really? A real human being? You got to be kidding me, And this is Dr. Fauci. Yeah.
What you did is while you were making the food, you called out to the devil. You intentionally said, and by the way, I can direct movies. I've hired 100 extras at one time to show up. I got every last one of them to show up in the scene. You have 100 extras and a lot of other stuff when I'm actually directing a real movie that I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to do that. This was nothing written ahead of time. This was like you just coming up with your own ideas. But the bad thing, But the bad thing is you tried to attack little Debbie and say they're satanic.
Mm-hmm.
But then you started by calling the food shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you progressed to calling it, this is Satan's meal. You said something like that. I kept having to say, please, Jesus, protect us from evil. Protect us from evil. I said it my own way. I might have said it kind of childlike and please, Jesus, protect us from evil or something. But I said it because you were saying this is Satan's meal and stuff. And you said that or something like that.
No, I didn't.
Like so I said, please, Jesus, protect us from evil. You kept talking about it. I don't even use the name Satan. I don't use the name Satan.
You just did right there. You just used the word.
I had to say the word that you used. And I said, protect us from evil after I said, I don't even say it. I say the devil because that looks like he's a common devil like the other demons. I don't even like to say his name because mentioning his
Lucifer?
name,
Beelzebub?
And that's what ended up happening. It became kind of evil. And then right at the very end of it, you made that big giant white burrito with stuff on it and you cut it in half like you're cutting Danica's body in half. And I said, did you just do that to cut Danica's body in half? And you said, yeah.
No, I did. I mean, I said, yeah, but I didn't even hear what you said. I am partially blind. I can't hear at the ear.
So
I can't ever hear what he's saying.
I said,
well, good morning. Good, Linton. You're a witness to this conversation. We were doing a film on Little Debbie, right? And John wanted me to look like this. John wanted me to look like this. And that's me.
About the devil and
because this is the devil. 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 This materialism world is right. It's the devil.
You crunched up and put it in the food. You cooked it in the food.
Yes, I did.
Why would you say it's the devil and then it's in your body? Protect us from evil.
John,
Jesus.
Protect us from evil. There are chemtrails in the air. We are breathing the devil all the time. I walked out.
Don't invite the devil into your life. It could be really bad. That's why we almost got in a really bad argument.
Because I didn't really say that, and John projected his fear into me. So and that's what John does. That's why John has lived up here all by himself for the last 5 years, because he can't go down and interact with other humans. Other beings.
I can if I have
if he has.
What interest would I personally have?
Because God put us on this planet to. Because
it's God's work. God's work. For others. But what do I enjoy about it? So I don't usually go out there that much.
The bottom line about our life, it's not ours. You get
enjoyment when you go out there. You like going to restaurants. It's fun for you. You like restaurants.
I talk to
people. It makes you feel happy. Not right now, but whenever next time you go to a restaurant, you enjoy going to restaurants. That's why you go out there. You like talking to people, and the people on here on the East Coast who don't
Here is John
movies,
projecting what he says I am. He has no idea who I am, never listens to me.
You like all the cool things they're into. You think it's cool and exciting and different to you.
No, I go out there to talk to people to make them feel better, make them feel better.
All these places on the East Coast that you think are so interesting and exciting, and you have something to look forward to with all that stuff, with all the things that you did at, all your whatever
Whatever I did.
you did.
Whatever I did.
They have places on the East Coast that are really special for that. You know what? I have no interest in it. I don't know why.
But God put
like
all of that
movies,
in our lives
videos,
to interact.
Film acting.
God put us here to interact, not to be,
Where is there anything for me? Anything at all for me?
It's in your heart,
And
John.
a lot of God's work, it's not that easy.
No.
So I stayed here, and also it felt wrong to just randomly talk to people. Because my kids, my parents, of course, I was kind to them. I'm kind to people. I'm kind to some people out there, but not too much because I was supposed to stay away.
John, what is the most important thing after you?
Wife.
No.
Oh,
I
God,
said
Jesus,
right.
Danica, my kids.
No. Just God and Jesus, right? If you read the Bible, what was Jesus doing in the whole New Testament?
They're my real.
What
children.
What was Jesus doing in the whole New? You say you really read the New
Preaching
Testament.
The gospel when he was old enough.
He was making the gospel.
He was a carpenter.
He was making.
That.
No. You didn't hear what I said. See, John never listens, right? And now I can't even hear, but I listen, right?
What was he doing through the entire New Testament?
Right.
His Father's work.
And what was that?
His Father's will for him.
So what was he
was happy to do his.
What was he doing?
Not sinning at all, being kind to others.
You're missing the point. No, he was out amongst the people, constantly amongst the people. He was walking amongst.
When you're not around people, you can be kind too.
No, but he was out there bringing the word of his Father, right? He was interacting with people. He was bringing love. And what was Jesus? What does the Christian theology say Jesus is?
The Savior of mankind, God's Son.
Well, but there's a term they have like trademarked. What is it called?
Messiah.
No.
The Messiah.
No.
They don't have a trademark.
Sure they do. It's called Jesus was the good news.
The good news?
You've never heard that?
I don't know.
Well, you haven't been reading the Bible because it's all about Jesus bringing the good news to the people. That's all he did. He wasn't some kind of magic wand, some Hollywood magic wand. He was bringing, what was this good news, John? You've read the Bible. You know it so well. You love the New Testament. I can't read the Old Testament.
I know more than most Christians.
So what was the good news? If you read and know more than most Christians, what is the good news?
I know more than
what is the good news, John?
Most Christians.
What is the good news?
I don't know how much they know.
What is the good news?
The good news,
yes, of Jesus Christ,
that he suffered and he was gonna suffer and die for our sins. He showed us the New Testament.
What is the New Testament?
One day heaven will be brought.
What is he just kind of shot right by and he brought us the New Testament. Like he brought us the New Testament. That's like 3 or 4 words.
Shows us how to be good to others.
He's getting there. He's getting there. He's getting there. So what was he showing us to be? What was he showing us to be? What was he showing us to be? Jesus Christ was showing what? What was the good news of Jesus Christ? What is
good news?
The good news was.
I don't know if I've heard that or not. I have not read all of the New Testament, but I understand the really important ideas about
what's really important. The main important idea is the good news. That is the numero uno thing. What is the good news?
About the really most important thing.
That is the most important thing.
Don't be led into temptation when you're alone or around others. Be kind to others I've been kind to you this entire time. I told you how good looking you are, how in shape you are, how good your health is, how much weight you lost, how good the food tastes. I say these kind things as much as I can.
Well, that means I'm a fat slob and the food tastes like crap. No, but we're getting off the point.
I'm kind.
No, but that isn't. You're looking at kindness. You're looking at kindness as if it was a transactional thing. I'm going to be kind, so I'm going. No matter how fucked up I am, no matter how much I scream at people, no matter how much I curse and call people and scare people, I'm going to tell them they look good once in a while. He listens to my phone calls, right?
Something about a hobo. Somebody said something about a hobo.
No, I said
somebody else must have thought you looked like a
hobo. No. Sorry, John. That conversation. He listens to my conversations. He stands by the door going, "Is he going to say something about me?" And Mo, when that conversation was, I was talking about when I was a teenager and I was a hobo. I rode the rails, that's a hobo. I rode the rails. I stayed in the camps with the...
You were a hobo?
Yeah. When I was 16, 17, I rode the rails. That's how I went from coast to coast. I rode the rails, right? When I was at prep school, this train came through it was an old country club and a golf course. So it was New Hampshire, all these rolling hills. And this train came right through this town and went right by our property. And it was right where this hill was. They kind of threw. So it was usually gigantically.
Who called you a hobo?
I did. I called myself a hobo.
Did your sister try to
No, I called myself a hobo because I was a hobo. Anyway, so the train would come through and it would go right by this hill, and you could get on the top of the hill and just step into the car. And because they usually super long trains, it was going really slow. So I did that. So that's instead of walking the 8 miles down into town, we would just jump on the train that way. It was like our subway, and would take us all the way down, and then we would get through town again. They'd slow way down, and we just step off on the platform, right?
I'm kind to you. I'm kind to my parents.
John, you are internally who you really are is the sweetest person there is. You are just sweet, and you're in a world that's a sociopathic world, and you're just living in it. Nothing really traumatic happened to you.
It's not sociopathic. It has some sin. It's good. It's a good world. It's mostly good.
The planet itself is a Garden of Eden. The planet itself is a
Garden of Eden.
Oh, it still is. We're the ones who are chipping away at it, and there was no original sin, and that was the good news. Jesus said, "Listen, guys, there is no original sin. I'm here to tell you that." I'm in a human body. You are humans. You have,
protect us from evil, Jesus.
You can, and that is actual trope. All of those prayers, those are all spells. He's going on about, you talked about the devil. Everything he's saying is
evil, Jesus.
Right. Because in English, everything is the opposite. Whatever you say, it's the opposite. Like, when they said, no child left behind. Well, friggin' every child's been left behind, War on drugs. Well, all they did was flood the place in drugs. English, and after the fall of the Tower of Babylon, we were disjuncture. Because before then, we were closer to being, you look at the Old Testament, and there's first thing is, after everything was made, and in the darkness and a bango, here we are. There's a thing called kings, right? And it puts all the kings that were there, right? And Gilgamesh was the first, and he was part God, part human, and he was king for,
false god.
No, he was a god. He was
false god.
Godly, right? So anyway. And that's what, it says. So he's not God, the God with the big G, the guy sitting in the clouds. And why is God a guy? Why isn't it a woman?
He happened to be a man.
He happened to be a man.
He was
the maker of all things just happened to be a man. He was just like,
that's how it was.
That's how it was. And how do you know that's how it was?
Because
yes,
Adam was created in his image and likeness.
Same with Eve.
Eve was created. I don't know what the fuck Edom means.
I said Eve, his
Eve
partner.
was created to keep Adam company because God could see that Adam was alone in the Garden of Eden, and he created
just like
Eve,
John is alone in the Garden of Eden up here. See, John is, like I said, he is the public saint of truth, you know.
But it's not like some notch on a resume. It's that's love that you're either.
It's not.
I want that kind of love with my wife.
So why aren't you out there in the world? But see, we have streamed away. See how he's really good at getting away from the real issue. Jesus Christ, the good news. What is the good news? He's constantly, oh, Jesus, protect me. That is that's like making a deal.
Saying things it's about like the devil and stuff. That's why. That's the only reason why.
Well, God created the devil. Everything is made by God. God made the devil. We are not privy to what.
He didn't make him as the devil.
No, he did. Everything that is. If you go on to the Bible and say, everything, God, it says, in the beginning there was nothing but God, and then it was all dark, and then bang, there was light.
He created everything good.
No, he created everything, John. He created everything.
He didn't create anything bad.
Yes, he did.
The devil created everything.
No. He created the devil. That means he created.
The devil tried to overcome him and round
No, he
all
didn't.
The angels.
So again, you don't read the Old Testament. You don't read what happened. No. So how do you know?
He created everything good.
No.
Jesus.
It doesn't say that.
God created
it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. If you believe do you believe in the Bible? Is the Bible the truth that you go by?
Yes.
Okay. So, have you read?
I like the New Testament a lot better than the Old Testament.
But that's only 20% of God's word.
That's when Jesus, his real son, God's real son.
We are all God's children. And that was the good. See, John, you are taking everything out of context and just picking and choosing what you want. You are just saying, this is my life, so I'm going to pick everything out of. I have no idea. And this is
in the Old Testament. It was a little more vengeful and kind of a little bit sinful, and I didn't like it as much as the New Testament when Jesus, God's real son.
But you didn't even know what the good news, and you don't even know what the good news is.
What do you call the good news? Where does it say the good news? It says that in the Bible.
Go get your Bible.
News?
Yes. Oh, here.
I'll tell you the truth. I have not read all of the New Testament, and I have not read all of the Old Testament.
So, what part of the New Testament have you? Okay, hold on. Let's go to the definitive. Let's go to Wikipedia. Let's go to
Do you
Google.
Interpret the verses correctly? Or
I don't. I don't interpret anything.
Even know what they
John,
mean
just hold on a second.
You have to make sure you understand what every word and verse, one sentence. You have to really think about that.
Do you do that, John? Do you do that? The Hebrew rabbis do that. I went to a rabbi school. They put the scroll out, and you read it with this pointer, and you read every letter.
Have to think about what that sentence means.
Can you just, John, for 3 seconds, can you just not make any noise?
That's why I haven't read all the Bible. Oh, sorry.
Okay, just give me 3 seconds.
God and Jesus protect us from evil. You used blasphemy right then.
What is Jesus' good news? Okay, here it says. In Christianity, the good news is the message of Jesus, the Christ, the Messiah, God's ruler, promised by Scripture, specifically the coming of kingdom of God and the death of the illusion of the duality will leave. For God has always been here, and Jesus Christ represented God in human form. And the good news was that we were all God's children, and we did not sin. We are just in the fog of ego. And so it goes on and on. What does good news mean? Okay, definition. Good news.
Well, you got a lot of people commenting.
Yeah.
Or chatting.
Get yourself a church. Get yourself a church. Someone pet Kitty, please. Good morning, guys. I love you, fish. And I'm just a damned Yankee. Yep. Mm-hmm.
See, that's another kind of blasphemy thing. Damned, me referencing damned to hell. I've heard a lot of that this morning. I think something's like trying to get you to leave.
No, I'm not. I'm here to help you, buddy. And if you leave, the only way I'm going is you not physically, but with the devil inside of you.
I won't.
The only reason I'm leaving here is when you scream at me and the devil is in you. Get out, get out. When you do that, when the devil in you goes, get out, that's when I'm going to leave. Because I'm here representing.
That's not true. I don't believe that.
Hey, baby.
The devil's never in me.
Well, that's the only way. Then I'm not leaving until, a while. I'm staying here because I'm here to help.
Why? I won't do that.
Well,
what if I have to ask you to leave and
that's only because the devil is doing that.
That's not
the
true.
Devil in you is.
What if you slop stuff all across you're cooking things and slop?
Well, that's kind of me.
I have to clean it up now.
No, I've been cleaning
it looks okay now.
I've been cleaning up all. I've been like 90%. Let's see, John just cuts. He doesn't want to talk about things. He doesn't want to investigate his internal self. He doesn't want to understand why he's all alone. He doesn't want to understand why he's miserable. He doesn't want to understand why he hates everybody.
I don't hate everybody.
Well, he drives everyone away. Why does he do that? Why is he living up here for 2.5 years all by himself? Why doesn't? Because God doesn't want him here all by himself. God wants him to be happy. We're human beings. We're wired to be with people and not feel that, look for everything. Oh, that's blasphemous. Oh, that's like what they did, when they burned women because they were women, not because they were witches. They burned them because they were women. Because the guys they were the ones who had, really, jerking off all the time. And I have to burn every woman because I'm jerking off all the time. It's their fault I'm jerking off. I am not doing anything. I am perfect. I am Jesus Christ. I'm no.
I'm not perfect. I'm flawed. I did at one time when I was really pissed off. I said, I hate everybody. I said that before.
Just last night, when you punching yourself in the head, when you were punching yourself in the head, you were saying it. You were saying it last night.
Take us all to heaven right now. This sucks. I've said that before. I yelled it out the door.
But we have a free will. God gave us a free will on a purpose. Please, God, so we could
take us to heaven right now,
with our conscious intent the best we can be. And in 2022,
I hate everybody. I hate myself.
It's all about us being consciously intent to be our best self, not to be worrying and hemming and hawing and isolating ourselves in duality. Only seeing reality through your cell phone.
When you say the devil,
hey sweetie, how you doing? Eddie, good to see you.
The inherent sin in all human beings that the devil.
There is no inherent sin
in Adam and Eve. He did that awful sin to all of us, so we can't help but to sin. It's going to kill us.
So when you say that original sin, you're taking any responsibility of what you do. Oh, it's not my fault that I just murdered someone. Oh, it's not my fault that I just threw somebody under the bus. Oh, it's not my fault that I caused.
Whoever did it. They actually.
But everyone said the devil did it. You were just saying yourself. You're going, oh, he's saying all this stuff about the devil. The devil is just a word. Satan's just a word.
Each person has a free will, and when we make mistakes, we have to take responsibility for it.
Okay.
When it's sin.
Okay.
But I think.
So what about just in the last 24 hours, when you were punching yourself in the head?
I didn't
cursing,
punch myself in the head.
You sure were.
When did I punch myself?
Last night. You go, I hate my life. I hate everyone. Bang, 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 bang.
I thought that was 2 nights ago. Did I say I hate everyone?
Yes. Everyone sucks. I hate everything. I just want to die. Bang, 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 bang.
Well, there's something that was annoying me. I don't want to say what it was, but it was like something kept acting like it felt good to my private parts and was making me think like that there's a close family, loved one who
wants to have sex with
you.
you.
The last person you would ever
wants to have sex with you.
Ever do would be
you thought it was the cat that was making your penis hard.
It was like
you got mad at the cat. You got mad at the cat.
Really annoying me. I don't know what it was, and I kind of started
punching yourself in the head.
I couldn't take it anymore.
And he really was. And I was like, John, don't do that. You're going to hurt yourself.
And then I got a better feeling because all I had to do was
John, you
were upstairs and do something different.
You took what you did was you went, and I keep telling you, magnesium. You took some magnesium, which balanced you out.
We've been really happy,
and we're still happy. I have not changed.
It's been really.
But
happy.
I'm not going to hide,
but
John.
Here and there,
I want you to be able to have a life, And you snap. He wakes me up with this box, sunglasses, and he goes, put this on. I want you to look like this. I want you to be this. And someone tells me to do something, I'm not going to do it.
I thought I was.
I did my own thing. I put the hat on and I wore this as a scarf, and that's what it was. What's really funny, John?
Like my parents wanted me to get to work on something, and.
Why? So what? Did they call you up and ask you? Why do you constantly think that people are radio? Like all bad thoughts come in from the radio waves instead. It's all his parents. They're like thinking hateful things about him. No, they love him.
Doing something good, and it was like I wasn't going to be in the video. And I thought,
this is funny. This is funny.
I'll make him the famous person and film him. I'll cover up in these clothes.
I am not the star. I'm not the famous person. I am just Dr. Dude.
Dress in a costume, and I'll film him and make a good quality commercial. And for Little Debbie's, and we'll stand up for Little Debbie's, and it'll be really good and funny, and us getting along. But if I did talk about it, I wasn't gonna be in it. I was not gonna be in it. I was just gonna film Al. He's gonna say, "This is Al Bob, and I'm gonna eat Little Debbie's."
But I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. I went totally off the reservation. And of course, John, you'll never see that video. I should have put it on my laptop. But
and then he said, and then
because this thing, I tried to do it in this thing, and it just won't put it up.
You said, Little Debbie's are that devil. And you said, it's satanic. And I don't even like saying that. Protect us from evil, Jesus. And you kept saying how bad it was. And you said, it's shit. It's shit. It's shit.
I said that this was Dr. Fauci right here. This is Dr. Fauci. And all of this here is COVID-19, right?
I filmed the entire thing.
Will you ever see it? I don't think so.
By cooking up these beans and vegetables and stuff, and he said, it's shit.
It looked like shit, it's brown,
And he called the Little Debbie shit, and he said they're evil and bad and just mean ass things to them. And I kept having to say, no, they're good. Little Debbie is a good person, and they're
Little Debbie,
real family. They're not the
Little Debbie is Satan.
No,
look at those eyes. Look at those eyes burning through your soul, saying, eat, eat, eat,
protect us from evil, Jesus.
Eat.
Protect us from evil, Jesus.
Eat zebra, eat zombie. Zombie. See, zebra is the code word for zombie. Eat these things and be a zombie. Then that woo, 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 woo.
I didn't like it. And then, I was
he ate the 2 boxes.
I might as well just act in it too and look cool, or take my shower doll around and look cool and dress in a costume.
Yeah, you should, buddy.
But then it was wrong. It felt wrong. Like it was supposed to be all about Al.
No, it's not about Al.
I'm
just here as your comic relief.
Saying all these different things.
And don't believe a word I say.
Like Julia Childs.
Oh, I'm Julia Childs.
And all these different people, but it was like he said some way out there stuff.
Yes.
And I filmed him.
And I hope you
put it.
I hope you do your magic and edit it into something interesting.
And he wouldn't put the costume all the way on. He wouldn't put the pants on, even though.
Oh my God! I cut myself! Oh my God! Oh God!
No.
Please, Jesus! Please, Jesus! Praise Jesus! Oh, protect me! Oh, I'm bleeding! Oh! I cut the dickens out of myself! Oh!
Please, God, help out. To stop being blasphemous. And don't use the Lord's name in vain. Don't call out to the devil ever again. Please, God, help out to be kind and good.
Bottom line, words are words, kid. Okay. See you, buddy.
Okay, bye.
So, what do you guys think of that? Let's see. What do you think of this? This guy argues everything. Yep. Let's see. Boop, 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 boop. Let's see. Hey, everyone's saying good morning. John flipping out. Yep. Which he does on, like for every minute, there's, 30 seconds of flip out. And so he came in the room, woke me up out of sound sleep. I got you. I want to make a movie. You're going to wear this. You're going to look like this. Does that look like something? I mean, I would do that if it was appropriate. But, John will never show that video. It was pretty good. And that's why he'll never show it. And he goes, he's being the star. Well, that's what he kept saying. Oh, you're going to be the star. So I'm an actor. I went to Juilliard. I studied with, Uta Hagen and, H.B. Stews, Herbert Berghoff and Uta Hagen, right? On 10th Street, I learned how to, I was, part of Navis and IATSE. I worked on a lot of movies. I saw people, I was the electrician. I made sure there was always electricity and no one got electrocuted. And I did it. And making movies is the most boring thing ever. And because I was in these 3 unions and I was the responsible person for this thing that made it all happen, they were paying me $300 an hour. And now the other people, the crafts people, no, they were getting like $8 an hour. I mean, they were the ones doing real hard work. The people who were, doing the sets, the gaffers, all those people, they get maybe $18 an hour. I was getting $300 an hour because I had all these certifications. I had a master's license, and it was, high up in the union of, the IBEW, IATSE, and Navis. And only because of, my lineage from, Grandpa Stoll, and that's pretty much everything in this material world, So, because most of the people, I mean, look at, Bill Gates. I mean, if you go truly, graceful, she really barbecues Jeff Bezos. And she came, his father was a circus clown and his mother, was, middle, she wasn't really rich. They were lower middle class, right? And Jeffy pops out and, a year or so after Jeffy pops out, his mom is like tired of the clown who's always getting drunk. And so she divorces him and she moves out of the neighborhood and she tries to make a better life. And when Jeffy's about 4, she marries a guy who's from Cuba. But, that's like the American story. He's lifting his boot. No, he came from, they had this connective tissue, and basically Jeffy was a smart boy. He went to a special grammar school and a special prep school, and then he went to Yale, and he was, pruned his whole life to be Jeff Bezos, right? Same with, Little Willie, micro penis, and, moron Elon Musk, and, soulless, Facebook boy, and all of those people are poster boys, and their money is. I mean, our cash is what In 1913, we get the Federal Reserve, and our money was supposed to be backed by gold, and the gold was taken out that day, and it's useless, and it's Babylonian, money based on slavery. John, oh, don't say that. That's all satanic. Well, it's like, no, this is called history. And that's why I really like Really Graceful, because she, I tell stories. I give you points of reference. She does the hard work of, researching everything. She's a really good journalist. And, dark journalist, that guy, he's really, but nobody wants to see that. But, the YouTube is so ubiquitous. There's so much stuff on there. And hardly, like my channel, And it's really interesting. Last night, when I left and I look at the numbers, it said 170 people watched. And then when I went and looked at it today, it said, 80 people watched. And, you just said that now. Let's see. Hey, Lana. Yo, Bobo. Lana Fish. Ed. You're like the Maryland. You're all the what is that? What you are the artist? I'm not quite sure. Fish, Lana. Let's see. I just realized that John is my ex now. Since when he's just the same. Yep. And so people go, how can you do that? I don't get mad. I use my, I'm an actor. I have different voices. I have my, talking to you, it's it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. I like you, Mr. Rogers' voice. But if I want to get your attention, I can speak right into your cerebral cortex. That's what really good actors do. And I can do that. I was schooled to do it. Let's see. But I was given all of this schooling because they expected me to be like a Jeff Bezos. I mean, they don't know me too well, do they? Right? So, I didn't turn out that way. I turned out as your Sensei Al Bob, And I've died 6 times. Last time was a real deal. No one, my doctor still can't believe I'm alive. And then I'm in such good health that I don't have clamps on my leg. I'm not in a wheelchair. I'm not I'm actually getting around, because that's what God, and see, guys, all of these religious terminologies are satanic. And he doesn't like that. Don't want to hear that one, because that means everything that he believes is the devil, because and that was the switcheroo. Oh, he committed a mortal sin. We didn't commit anything. We're children of God. Our biggest sin is when we're unconscious. Our biggest sin is when we just turn ourselves over to some belief structure, like the Bible, right? And if you go look at propaganda, you go to the Tavistock Institute, you read Bernays, and you read Freud, because Bernays was Freud's nephew, and you read, Dr. Quigley at the Council for Foreign Relations, CFR, you see that this is all a spell. Everything, the TV, why did we get this technology, and why did this just happen? Because they had this stuff for already 40 years. When you were seeing it in 1968 on Star Trek, when, Captain, read me up, Scotty. That is this little device. And they had them then. And they had the teleporters. We have people on Mars and the moon, and they don't take spaceships there. They are teleported there, right? We had the war in 91 to, the majority of all of the artifacts aren't in Egypt. They're in Iraq. And that's why we had these wars here. So we could cause chaos and just go in and take what we want. In 91, we did 2 things. We sent our whole army out into the desert where there was nobody there, but where all these artifacts were. And then put their specialists in there, guys like me, who, and I was that guy. I did go to sites like that. I did see stuff that with the army all around. The best story I can tell is I was at Penn State, and I was studying thing, and the guy who was running that program, I was in Penn State because he was in charge of this department, this program, and I was sent there to assist him. And he had, he had a whole department of, scholastics. But he liked me because, I read stuff that those guys didn't have. I said things, I thought things that nobody. Oh, that's like blasphemy. The textbook doesn't say that. And so, that's why I was there. Anyway, one day, and I have, everyone's got a pretty nice office. I got this little box, which is fine. He got me a little box. He said, well, you can't have an office, but you get a carrel in the library. And that's what you like anyway. So I'm going to put you up in a reserved library where no one will bother you and you'll have access to everything. Sorry, you won't get an office, but your carrel will be, there's this one that has a great window that looks right across the campus, out across the valley, into the hills. Great view. So you'll like that. And I did. Nobody bothered me. Nobody came and saw me because they couldn't get in there. It's a reserved library. Anyway, he did because he put me there. So, and we're down there. Why be afraid of the devil? Because the bottom line, it's like, Grandma took me movies and put me in the front row and showed me the monster, and it was just scratched on the frame, right? And that's all the devil is scratched on the frame. It's like Jesus, the historical character, and not there. But Jesus has always been here. The spirit of what Jesus is, it's always been there because it's in us. That was the good news. You don't want to even go there. He hasn't read the Bible. He just reads a comic book. He gets his reference of the Bible from Wikipedia. Wikipedia, it's Wiccan. Oh my God. Witches. That's not even what Wicca is, right? So anyway, more help than I think you can give him. I'm here for one reason. I keep saying John's my friend. I don't give up on my friends. Well, I am all in for the next month or two or whatever, until the devil possesses him and he throws me out, right? And he was getting there, and that's why I said, the only guy who's going to throw me out of here is the devil. And, when you throw me out, you are Satan. You are Beelzebub. And that's the real you. You're the real nice guy inside, but, the Satan is, so if you throw me out, you can just say, there you are, Satan. So I'm staying here. And, I have a sense that this area where we are, Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, and this is the most, from Arkansas, there is the strongest, from the capital, about 300 miles. This is Ark, and you go to these little towns, and they have all these, next to Brazil, there are more crystals coming out of that little 300-mile stretch. If you ever go there, so I might go there, and I have a sense, and you look at it, there's a guy named Thor, there's another guy, Oppenheimer Ranch. All of this, they're weather people who aren't representing, the hidden hand. But I'm saying, hey, look at this. The first time I saw the 100-mile-an-hour wind going through Colorado, I had a friend of mine who lives right where the fire was. And he was in that town that got barbecued. But he's a rancher. He lives out off in the 40, and said, oh, you better look at this, and go look at Thor. And Thor was the only guy who had it. And then, the next day they had pictures because, man, they had pictures of people in the Costco, right? Someone dropped a cigarette. There's 100-mile-an-hour, blowtorch wind going. That goes poof, right? And it burns everything in that shopping center. Like within, 15 minutes, the fire's everywhere. Meaning no one had a chance to be. I don't know how many people died. Whether they would tell us how many really died because the weather is changing. So what normally was cold in the north is moving west, right, and right in the middle. So the places that's going to have like unbelievably cold winter is going to be Texas, Colorado, parts of California. parts of Nevada and Arizona, and it's going to be really weird in Arizona because here it's going to be 85 degrees. Here it's going to be 40 degrees below 0 Celsius. And yet no one's going to and that's what 2022 is going to be, is unbelievable. Just what happened here, and that's and I wish I had because for some reason I can put things up here, but they don't go up to my channel, and I have a sense that when John blocked Moron Boy, he blocked my phone anyway. But so that just means if I do anything on this thing, it's just going to be a moment, right? And if people are there watching, they'll catch it. If they're not, it won't be there historically. So anything historical, I'm going to have to use this platform. So anyway, because it works. And when it doesn't work, I won't care. I will figure out, it'll be the time where it's time for me to do something else, right? But right now, this is the time for me to do this because it touches a lot of people. It seems to, affect a positive change. My voice can be heard. Millions of people can hear it, whether they do or not. That's the algorithm. And why be afraid of the devil? There is no sense. I mean, it doesn't exist. I would put John in work. What do you mean, Lana? No money. Oh, I see. Yes, his parents buy him off because they don't want to deal with him. So, and they don't want him to be out on the street because then people would talk to them about it, right? That's when my parents. The biggest thing they had was how their children reflected on them. They wanted us to be carbon copies of them and do better in what they want themselves to do, right? And the interesting thing is that both my parents, who were total control freaks, actually wanted me to be the way I was, because they wouldn't have allowed me to be in all these spaces where I was nurtured to be who I am today. They wanted to be like me, but they couldn't. So they allowed one of their 6 kids to break away and be that what they wanted to be, and when my parents, the last 28 years of their life, I took care of them, and I did just like I did with John. And so that's kind of what I think. I mean, my parents were not, they had real filters. So they never said, and, John just says whatever in his mind. Heart, Harp really does. I mean, all this stuff, and they've been spraying stuff in the sky since the 40s. World War II is just a, economic and social and spiritual sleight of hand. And this whole, where is Dr. Fauci? What did I do with that? Oh, here he is. Here is Dr. Fauci. There he is, Dr. Fauci, right? And here, see all these. This is the coronavirus right here, right? And here's the new variant, the zombie variant, right here, right? And does this even come close to what that looks like? I don't think so. And I made a pretty good meal, and I put 2 of these in it, and it tasted like shit. The only thing that made that meal taste really terrible were those 2 things, right? So, and so here's Mitch McConnell. Here's Moscow Mitch, right? And here is, Joe Biden, right? Trying to look like Cammy. But look at those eyes. If those aren't Satan's eyes, look at those eyes. That whole face looks like Satan. And if that isn't, perfectly what, Dr. Fauci looks like every time. And he's right now following the science, and the science he's talking or pointing to, what Dr. Fauci is pointing to, is the zombie. Here's the new booster. The zombie, Get the jab. There it is, the new zombie jab, right? And it's all brought to you on Satan TV, right? Because everything that's dualistic is Satan, and everything in our material world is dualistic. Like I said, the best example I can tell you is when Georgie Porgy said, "Oh, we're gonna have this new. It's gonna be great. We're gonna have this new thing called No Child Left Behind," which meant every child was left behind, unless you were in a high level prep school. There is something about Alaska. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Because Alaska is like your Al Bob. It's it's its own thing, and no matter what they try to do up there to change it, it stays that. And every time, like, so they stuck carp up there, right? And high altitude radio precipitation. They microwave the troposphere, and then use the particles of the chemtrails, because they're all barium and other metals, to like focus whatever, they hit a certain frequency, bingo, right? And that's only one thing they do. They have all kinds of stuff up there, right? And they have every kind of platform. They stuck the big erector set of, what a joke, We went to the moon 50 years ago. We had not been back. Why? We were on our way. That Saturn V was not to send us to moon. It was to send us to Mars, right? But they already were beaming people to Mars. They were doing that in the 60s. That's kind of what the Montauk, go read Preston Nichols' book, The Montauk Project. So there's a story I can tell you. So I was part of the U.S. Psychotronic Society, right? And it came out of my being, part of this thing at Cooper Union, the Alternative Technology Department. And then I, went off to, be in Los Alamos and San Diego and Kirkland Air Force Base and a bunch of other things. And I kept bumping into really strange stuff. So I had the experience, and, my friend who was the big wig at the UN, he's from Africa. Oh, his name will pop into my mind. But anyway, so we have this, and same with George Christie. He said, so I was part of these very strange esoteric technologies, right? And they were all being run by DARPA, and Jeff Bezos' mother and his grandfather both worked for DARPA. His grandfather, was in the Manhattan Project, worked for a ton of DARPA-sponsored projects, and then ended up in his last years running the NRC's nuclear weapons. He's all in charge of the fissionable weapon-grade materials. Jeff Bezos' granddad did that. So, that's Jeff Bezos' pedigree, right? So I was exposed to some of the most amazing things. And one of them was, there I was, University of Pennsylvania, and I was in my little Carol, and my boss came up to me and said, "Al, we're going to go on a road trip." And I said, "Road trip?" He says, "Yeah." So we got in this car, and we took off, and we went to mines in West Virginia, right? And we got there, and the whole mining, they were totally cleared out. The whole mine, around the fence around the mine, which was, square mile, let's say, but it was a big facility, and it had military people all around, and all the roads going up to it were military people, right? And we're like in my boss's car. He's just got like a Toyota and right there, but they said, "Sir, you can't go any farther." He just, he didn't have like a wallet like I did, and he had this like other ID thing and had a whole bunch of stuff. The guy looked, and they looked, "Oh yes, you're at the top of the list, sir." And the guy salutes him, and I'm like over there, like looking, really? Because, I've been in Los Alamos, San Diego, Kirkland Air Force Base. I know what that is, right? So, but, and I knew that he was high up in the thing, but I just thought he was, an older version of me. Not so much. He's joined the club. So, And I've joined the club by just being me. But I'm not just, and that's what this, if John ever puts that video up, it is, and I did it on purpose, it is a metaphor for what today is. The hidden hand trying its best to force everyone to do what they want them to do. And not going to do it. Just say no. Thank you, Nancy Reagan. But anyway, we go on this thing and we go in and there are vans and trailers everywhere and there's DARPA and there's Lockheed and there's all these corporations, right? Boeing, Lockheed, Sperry, and that gives a date thing when I say Sperry because Sperry is no longer Sperry, it's Raytheon. And so you can tell when I was there because when it was Sperry, this date is when Sperry went to Raytheon, right? So and it's just like Grumman buying out Northrop, right? And then Boeing bought out somebody else, and they're all one company now, right? They're just different divisions of the reptile corporation, So anyway, we drive in. Let's see. Sorry, never heard about Jeffy cakes. You're lucky, Lena. I mean, in Sweden, they actually, the cream they put in pastries when I was in Gutenberg, they had some great bakeries in Gutenberg, and they got some really great food in Amsterdam. Two of my favorite Nordic towns. No, you're lucky you never had a little Debbie. I mean, like I said, would you eat this, Lana? Look at this thing. Look at it. It looks like a tampon. No, not a tampon. The pads. This looks like the pads, And John why is John, chunky? Because he won't eat my food, and my food is designed to be eaten 4 or 5 times a day, little bits. Then you lose weight. That's why I'm losing weight. Like he's getting upset because in the week I was here, I'm actually thinner than I was when I got here. And I was like way thinner. And when he made that Christmas video, and I already lost 100 pounds, but still I couldn't get out of the chair when I was a step and he just focused on my big butt, I'm a third of what that picture was. And he's upset that, and he goes, "You're here to make fun of me because you're so thin and you're so cool." And no, that's what he wants to be, but he can't be because he's stuffing his face with these things, right? And he goes, "I'm not doing that." Then why is that the only one in the box? And how many boxes did he? Because he bought a bunch of stuff from Kroger's, and pretty much there were no vegetables. He bought when you get a party little platter that has these really, terrible carrots and terrible this and this gloppy stuff that you dip in. That's the only vegetables he bought. Didn't buy any frozen food. I went and bought, a ton of frozen vegetables because they're actually okay. The best ones are if you grew your own vegetables in a glassed-in house and controlled all of the environment completely, and then went and talked to your plants every day and played classical music. Now that food would be good for you. But pretty much anything in the supermarket is, So you have to, and that's what I do when I cook. Like, every time you're going to eat it for, he waits till I eat the food that I made in the pan and I eat it first and then he eats it. And then he asks, "This is really good." I've been cooking for that guy for 7 years. And every time he eats, "This is the best," wow. And it's not like, yeah, Al is a really good cook. Yes, Al, built restaurants. Yes, Al owned restaurants and was the cook because he couldn't afford anybody else. And I was brought up by an Italian grandma and had a German mother who was a great baker. And, and then I lived with all these women who could, had restaurants because, I built them for them, And so it'll be interesting if John puts that up. And I bet you he doesn't. Because the other thing that we did, like the first day, he hasn't put that up. And that was really good too. So anyway, so we get to mine. We drive up to where the big, building is where you go down underground. And I don't like going underground. I've been underground. I worked on a dam. I worked in this unbelievable crazed um, uranium mine in New Mexico, and there they tried to kill me. I almost got run over by a big tractor that was the size of a house. And I parked my little truck that they gave me to run around because the site was like 20 square miles, and I had an engineering place here and this over here, and I had this little Chevy, the smallest pickup truck they had, that was super bright, screaming orange, so those big trucks could see it. And I had gigantic 20-foot fiberglass poles with big flags on them, so they were up there. They could see these flags because they had run over other guys and squashed them, right? So I went to the engineering shed and I parked in the parking lot, which had these big fiberglass poles with big flags on them, so those guys wouldn't run through there. And I, you know, stopped, turned up the thing, grabbed the blueprints I had, jumped out, got 10 steps away, and I hear this. I look back, and this guy had backed up to turn around into the parking lot, and big signs saying trucks do not come in here, and all these poles. He ran over about 10 of these fiberglass poles, and he crushed like my pickup truck like that. Now, if I had stayed there to light a cigarette or pick my nose, I would have been crushed like that. Did that guy get fired? No, right? So I had about 20 other adventures like that, to the point where people were betting on when I was going to die, and it's the first time I was called the dead guy, right? So back to the coal mine. So this is why I didn't like mines. They're not healthy. We're not supposed to be underground. The only people who are down there are the trolls and the reptile people, and some of them are okay. I've met a few, and they're okay. They're like everybody else. They're a few okay, but their general thing is they want to eat. Humans were basically their cows, So anyway, and they're trying to bring that around. Sawyer Green is people, So anyway, there I am in Pennsylvania, no, West Virginia, coming from Pennsylvania, in a place, and the time frame was when it was Sperry and not Raytheon. Anyway, I'll give you a hint. And so anyway, he's got this thing, and the guys with guns. Who's this? Where's his ID? Well, he's with me, and if you read the fine print, I have a allowance to have someone with me, my assistant. This is him, and he's if you want to spend an hour and a half and look him up, he has clearance. But they want us down there right now, and you want to take the hour and a half to check this kid out? Fine. And you want to send me down all alone without him? They will come up and probably put a gun in your mouth and blow your brains out. And he actually said that too. I go, sorry, because he was a captain. He thought he knew what he was. He was part of that platoon, right? Head of that platoon, right? Anyway, so we go there, and everyone passed that guy with corporate. They had either, overalls that said Lockheed or Boeing or Sperry or whatever, IBM. And then there were other ones that said DARPA, NSA, CIA, right? But there were no military whatsoever past the security circle. Everybody down there was nobody. Whatever security they had was CIA. They had guys down there with guns, but they were CIA guys. So we go down there, and I'm going, you're going to have to pay me, you're going to have to pay me for this, I am not, happy. You didn't tell me I was going to have to go through this. I've told you stories about why I don't like mines. Why are you? It'll be okay. You'll like this. And yes, I'll from this point, I owe you many big ones. From this point on, pretty much, you're untouchable. You're bulletproof. I'm sorry I didn't tell you, but I know if I told you what we were going to do, you wouldn't come. So, yes, I'm sorry. I know that's not good enough, but here we are. You'll like this. And so we're going down 900, 900,000. We are down there. We get off, and I don't know if you've ever been to a coal mine, especially deep one, because underground, geologically, there are gigantic chasms down there. Just like, the Sistine Chapel, it's like big spaces, right? So the elevator comes down into this, and they're called mezzanines, right? And so we come down and there's this big open space, and man, it is lit up like a football stadium. And so, and again, and there are all kinds of equipment, and they have, I don't know how they got them, but they got trailers down there with like guys in spacesuits and inside there looking at stuff, and there are guys in lab coats, and again, everything is corporate, right? So we again get down there, and they have a security barricade, right? And so we get, photographed, fingerprinted, machine puts out a plastic thing, we wear it around our neck, and now I have clearance, right? Now I can go wherever. And then we walk into, and that, between the elevator, the security place, they have this big plastic wall and an airlock. And I'm going, biological weapons. Mm-hmm. And I say to him, so do we get a spacesuit? And he goes, I'm told that it's safe. Oh, I trust that. I worked in these places to the point that they called me the dead guy. Oh, I trust that. I was sent to a seminary to be a Catholic priest, and they tried to murder me. Oh, I trust the Catholic Church. So, and virtually every, at least 40% of the priests in that seminary, because there were a lot of boys there, and they were all buggering all of them and telling them that's the way of Jesus, And when John goes on and on and on about, oh, Jesus saved me. I mean, that is a spell. He is doing just like, No Child Left Behind. Oh, Jesus saved me. Jesus resides in here, not in some transactional, if I say enough prayers, I'm going to heaven, and then I can be an asshole. I'll just say more, oh, I love you, Jesus. I love you, Jesus. I love you, I love you, Jesus. And then I'll go to heaven. Heaven's right here. Why I'm out in the world is that's where heaven is. Now, this beautiful place, this is more like, the in-between zone, right? And that's, all the trees they're all dying. And they were all dying when I was here. Now they're really dying, and, you walk through the forest and there's trees everywhere down, right? And they weren't like knocked down. They just gave up the ghost. And there's lots of trees that just snap the branches, and none of these trees look healthy. Yeah, they have leaves in the summertime, but that's just photosynthesis, and that's because this is the Garden of Eden. And sin, we aren't the sinners. We are what ego is, an artificial thing, right? And everything that's evil comes from ego. And to live the life of Spirit's unconditional love through our conscious intent of doing our best, right? That's Jesus right there. That's what Jesus was doing. And that's what he did the last 3 years of his life. He was showing everyone. That's why he was such a public guy. He was out there. And, after the Last Supper, he's out in the backyard talking to God, and the boys are with him. And he's trying to introduce them to God, which is not, God is a Sumerian word for dickhead, right? The burning bush, the best, and the people to make God look like an old man in the clouds. I said, so why is God a guy? Why isn't it a woman? Oh, it just happened to be that way. Really? And John is the people's saint of truth, because what comes out of his mouth is like, and it's like even when he's in a good mood and happy and everything, it's still. And it shows so vividly what's going on. And that's why he's the people's saint of truth. I think it was Toole who said that. It was so right on. Anyway, and that's why I'm all in for whatever it takes. And then if it works and we go to New York and have a great time, and then we go to Texas and he gets back, all of those things are possible, but not if he doesn't leave here, right? They're not coming here. No matter how many times he paints the wall or sweeps the floor, they're not coming here, So there I am. We're going to, we're walking through the airlock, and I'm just going, But, I was like, I'm not a kid anymore. So every step, and he's right. I want to see he knew me really well. He knew that I like to know what that stuff that no one knows is, right? He knows me. He's read my portfolio. That's why he picked me. And he knew that if he takes me, I'm not going to do like all these guys in lab jackets and overalls you know, and black suits. No, not really. I'm going to be him and I are going to be. That's why they called him because he's an older version of me, but he's joined the club for the prestige, power, and money, not fame. Because this guy, he published more stuff. He was like, and yes, he was in charge of lots of things, but yeah, he wasn't an everyday name. So anyway, he didn't want to be a poster boy. He liked his anonymity, but he was like me. So that's why I was there. I was like being tutored by him to take his place. But when I left there to do something else, we were he had a really nice house, very Frank Lloyd, right? And so we're in there, and he had every party favor you could imagine. And he could get whatever he wanted. And so we were there, and there were some real sweeties there that were there that were not human. But boy, they looked hot. Boy, they knew what they were doing. They were professionals. When things get weird, the weird get professional. Boy, these girls were. I don't even know if they look. They had all the girly parts, but what they were underneath, were they IT? Were they dimensional? Who knows, right? But boy, they were fun. And that's not like, oh, I can't do that. Really, you're put in a position where you have this opportunity. And you don't have to worry about, oh, the devil. No, the devil only gets a hold of you if you are the devil. When you do evil, it's only because you are the devil. Now, I make mistakes. I'm a moron, I'll go, ooh, like, the other day I was in Lowe's and they had it, I was in the Rolly battery coaster. For guys like me, I can't stand on concrete, so I ride those. Walking on ground, I could do that, no problem. But, I kind of tried to, get in there with the little box because they had everything. You're supposed to stay away. They had you jammed together. And I was like smashing into this and back. And I was kind of doing it on purpose just to get attention so people would check me out and get me out of there. So anyway, I smashed into this and I smashed into that. And I then knocked the whole thing off and all the rolls or whatever went all over the floor. And, so, sir, come over here. I'll check you out now. So, went over there and they checked me out. And then I start to back up and the lady goes, no. I said, I made the mistake once. I'm not going to make it twice. And so I just backed up so I could pull around and go out. And she goes, wow. I said, why wow? She goes, everyone always does the same mistake over and over. I see people doing exactly what you're doing because we've made it so tough for those people, the little wagon to get through because we don't want them to ride them. So we make it impossible for them to get around, but we have to have them by law. And she's going on and on. But you're the first person who didn't repeat. And everyone I work for makes the same mistake over and over and over. And I look, I said, so you're the smart girl. Let me look at your palm. Anyway, back to the coal mine. So all of this is just side bands to give you, color and flavor of the primary story. And that's what a good movie does, right? And the video I did for John was a great movie. I did better than anything he's ever made. And now he's a really good editor. So if he takes that, he could make something that would go viral. Will he do it? Probably not. He will probably never let it see the light of day. Like the thing we did when I first got here. If he puts that up, if he did it live, it would have gone viral because it was pretty amazing. Anyway, so he torpedoes himself. He's his own worst enemy, and that's everyone. We're our own worst enemy. That's why I try. No. Take that back. 2022. I'm not saying try anymore. I do my best to be consciously aware. Now I'm a moron 40% of the time. Like I and into things. But subconsciously I do it on purpose so people do what I want, right? I don't really hurt anybody. I don't really destroy anything. I just make a lot of noise and I get taken care of. in a positive way. So there we go through security, we go through the airlock, and we walk in this amazing top, and like there's people in go-karts, and like I said, I don't even know how they got the trailers down there, and I do because they probably beamed them in there, right? So we go through that. We kind of, the CIA guy and this other guy who, it's like the hidden hand. He's got the $3,000 suit. CIA guy's got like a J.C. Penney suit, and so they give us a little PowerPointy thing. And what is it? It was the coal mines. These guys are working away, and they had these machines, 500 horse machines that just, there aren't guys there with picks. They have these machines that just eat through the coal seam, right? And spit out the coal on a conveyor belt that goes to another conveyor belt that goes straight out. Instead of going down, up and down on an elevator, they made a tunnel of a conveyor belt that just takes it straight out, right? And that's one of the things that kills the guys down there, because when they were just picking out, they didn't have a lot of dust, but this machine. And the thing that really kills them, not so much the coal dust, not good, black lung, but there's less and less coal in these coal mines per se. The seams are still there, but there are seams of crystal. And so to get at that thing, they'll just take that machine. And OSHA has made no laws. I mean, with the coal, when they're doing coal, they have all these things that have water that spritz it, so there's no dust. But when they go through the crystal, they don't do that. So people breathe in the crystal. Crystals like razor blades, right? So there are no big machines. There's no coal miners or coal. There's nobody down there, not even military guys. But there are, like Blackwater or some corporate security people that were our military people, but they're not anymore. They're paid a lot better. They keep their mouth shut. Anyway, so we get this little PowerPoint thing, and then we get on a little. They give us kind of bunny suits, and a little respirator, right, and a nice one, not like a Fauci mask, but a real respirator, like a HEPA filter, real, takes things microscope. The thing about your mask is a joke, because viruses you have to look at them with an electron microscope. You can't look at them with like just this. Bacteria you can look at through a microscope, but to look at viruses, they're in the micron level, and you have to, and they're almost a waveform, and they have no idea what a virus is, the stuff I've read that's most interesting and strikes my note is that viruses are really a toxin of sorts. And that's why our body has problems dealing with it. And in the early stage, especially in China, the thing that killed the people was their immune system responding to it. And the immune system, they went into anaphylactic shock through their immune system. Anyway, we're not wearing a spacesuit. We're wearing a Lowe's version of the spacesuit, right? One of those bunny suits and the little booties that we put over our clothes. And actually, they made us, when we went out of the airlock, we went into like a place that had, things that you could put your stuff. You couldn't bring anything in. So we took our clothes off and we got overalls, and then we got a bunny suit to put over the overalls. So once we went through the last airlock, we were not wearing our clothes. We were wearing this stuff, right? And so anyway, we go in there, and they're actually kind of comfortable. And we walk over to, and we get the PowerPoint thing. And I didn't understand it. We had that. There were a few people who had that, but the people in this gigantic, chamber, what they call mezzanines in coal mining parlay, they were in suits and they had overalls, but not like what we were, right? And we weren't wearing our respirator. We didn't get that yet, right? And I was, we had the bunny suit up to here, right? And so they give us a PowerPoint, and we get onto a go-kart battery thing, and we go to another one of these mezzanines where it's like we get to a place, and those guys are stop, and the guy with the $3,000 suit, he goes into like the VIP lounge over there, and he goes, and again, we have to go through another airlock to go to where this other mezzanine was, right? And there aren't a lot of people, and there's everyone's wearing a bunny suit, and there's some serious security. I mean, serious guys with some serious guns, and handheld grenade launchers, and they had energy weapons, like a rail gun, in a gun, not like a gigantic truck, but a thing that has a power source that can shoot a projectile like super, like 100 times faster than a bullet, and so the kinetic energy of that projectile is like, it'll take out this little thing could take out a building or a neighborhood, and without explosive, just the kinetic energy of that. And that's what a railgun does. It's the kinetic energy, and the thing moves so fast that if you're trying to hit a moving thing, you shoot a railgun at it, even if it's like 20 miles away. From the railgun bang to hitting this is like a second, right? It goes so fast, and it has so much kinetic energy, and that's why it's the weapon of choice in space, right? They don't shoot missiles at people. They use that because the missile, it's what's it doing? 1,200 miles an hour. It's got maybe a kilo of high explosives, or even a nuclear weapon. Still not the destructive power, this kinetic energy. So these guys have handheld weapons of that sort, and I saw things of that nature at San Dias, because that's where the energy lab, and that's where everywhere I went in places like that, I wasn't like doing electric work. I was creating power sources, right? And I would get really specific. It needs to do this, this, and this. Here is something that kind of does it, but it doesn't do it because of this, this, and this. So here's whatever you need to try and make something that we want. We have no idea. You come up with an idea, bring it to your supervisor. You guys work it out, make it. That's what I did in places like San Diego and Los Alamos, and at Kirkland too. So anyway, but I was, in the nuclear industry, in the mines and the facilities of that nature, yes, I was Mr. Electric, but still working on power sources, on transformers. So anyway, we go through that airlock, and before we go in there, we're in that airlock. That's where they give us the thing to cover us, and that's where they tape us up, and they, then give us a severe, and the bunny suit kind of went over that, and then they taped everything up, and then they had this. It was a space helmet. It came over and just laid on us. And it's like a Band-Aid. They took this stuff off and it stuck to our bunny suit, right? I mean, really stuck. So there was nothing there was no little crevice, no little place that anything, once we go through this next airlock, is going to get into us, right? So, we go through it. The guy with a $3,000 suit, the man in charge, he, comes out, and he's really wearing a spacesuit. We're wearing the Lowe's version. He's wearing the Rolls Royce version, and it's like 2001. It looks very similar to that. It's like looks very comfortable, and he's got air conditioning and heating, and we're just stuck in a garbage bag. And so it was, you were either really cold or really hot. There was no, and it was. You won't be here that long. It'll be uncomfortable, but who cares, right? You're expendable. I mean, wearing that Lowe's suit, and he's got this thing that was like, and once he got out there, he had one guy with one of these things, railgun things in front of him, and two guys on the side and one guy in the back. I mean, he was protected. Us, not so much. I mean, those guys maybe shoot something so we don't get it because we are like high value expendable characters. So because everybody else down there were a couple of lab guys, but and they didn't have the little space helmet that we had. They had the more HEPA filter, and so when we showed up, and the guys in the 2001 outfit with these guys with rail guns, and we had a space helmet at least, they were like, "Oh, we're even more expendable than we thought we were." Anyone who could think thought that. So a couple of guys kind of look at me like, "Uh-oh." Anyway, so we get down there, and there's this machine, a cold thing that, right? and it's like as big as a tractor trailer, and it is destroyed. I mean, ripped apart, just bent metal, and this wheel is made out of titanium with diamond claws. This thing's supposed to eat through coal and crystal, and anyway, so it's flying over there, and so we have the lab guys kind of get around us, and my boss, he says, let's roll this over, let's take a look, shine a light there. They do whatever he says. He next to the guy with the 2001 spacesuit and the serious security condition, he's the next in charge, and I'm his. I'm like the third in charge. I don't, I'm not. I'm just like, okay, I'm just checking it out. And I'm not saying nothing. I had no questions when I did the PowerPoint thing. My boss did all the questions. I knew not to say anything. I was just listening really well. Anyway, and the spacesuit was great because you heard everything around you. It had the most amazing hearing. Plus, we had the radio contact. We could talk to the man in the 2001 spacesuit, where the guys couldn't hear him unless he wanted to hear him, but we could hear him. Right. So anyway, so we look at that, and I'm just going, this thing ran into something that was so intensely, some force field, I'm thinking that way, what the heck did this thing run into? What did this? And it wasn't something attacked it. This thing was just and hit something and just, because the thing was running so fast, it had 500 horses of, electric motor just chewing the shit out of this thing, out of the coal, and then it hits this thing, right? So we walk further down. This thing has been, you can see the drag lines. It's been dragged a good distance into this mezzanine, where lights could be on there, right? So we walk, we get in another go-kart. We don't walk, and we go down, I don't know, maybe half a mile, maybe 2 football fields, whatever. But a good distance, but not, that far. We get down there, and again, there's another open space, really bright, but it's not a geologic like that, those mezzanines. They actually had cut all around this thing and then put steel all over the place and then sprayed gunite, which is, sprayed concrete and it sticks there. And then they sprayed metal on it. So you could see the concrete on the floor and in places where it's set up. So this thing must have happened weeks ago, right? And other people came and saw, and it wasn't until weeks went by. So they had this place set up. And so what's in the middle of this thing that they cut all around this, coals and crystal seam, and then sprayed, put steel up to reinforce it so it wouldn't collapse, and then, put, rebar, and then sprayed concrete on it, and then covered it in metal, and basically made a contained envelope that was an electronic, what do you call Faraday cage, right? Anyway, so I'm checking all of this out, and right in the middle is this box that is as big as a bread truck, like a UPS truck, and it's all kind of brushed stainless steel, right? Very, the light is reflecting off it. It's like, but it's not like a mirror. It's like brushed stainless steel, right? And when we got the PowerPoint thing, it said artifact. They were talking, that was the nomenclature. The artifact was found, blah blah blah, and and it was, the whole seam grew around the artifact. So this thing had been there, I don't know, 4 or 5 million years. It's been there a while, and it's this shiny stainless steel bread truck without a seam, without anything to think about what it is, right? So we're looking at it, and my boss is asking questions, and he turns to me and goes, "Al, what do you think?" And I said to the technical guy,
Hello.
What is, how much does it weigh? And the guy said, oh, we haven't weighed it. I said, you haven't weighed it? Well,
You want a drink?
how about no, thanks.
It's one of the
No, thanks. No,
caffeine.
no. Well, let's see. I'll try it.
Okay.
It has caffeine in it?
Yeah.
Good. I want caffeine. I need caffeine. I want to be an asshole because when I have that caffeine, I'm an asshole. Caffeine's my crack cocaine. I go insane when I drink it. I'm not even human anymore. I'm the devil. And thanks, John, for giving it to me. Ooh, I love that sound. Ooh. It tastes like Satan.
It's awful. It's not. It's
Oh,
Jesus.
that stevia Satan taste. I love it. Ooh, it just puts a thrill through me.
Protecting you, and you're only referring to the inherent sin of mankind.
Okay, so back to the story. I go, how much does this thing weigh? And they said, oh, we haven't weighed it. I said, why not? And, well, we don't know what it is. We don't want to touch it. I said, what? So, well, we've shined laser beams on it. We've, shot, projectiles on it, and it doesn't seem to move. So it must have some mass. I said, really? You guys are scientists and you don't know what it weighs? You haven't touched it? Have you put any instruments on it? Well, we haven't attached anything to it because we don't know what it is. And so they're like petrified of this thing. And, my boss goes, what do you think, Al? And I walk over to the thing. I put my two hands on it and they go, hold on, just like John. Oh, no. And I just and it moves. I mean, this thing the size of, I could not move a UPS truck. But I just kind of do this and it kind of slides. It's like there's some kind of gravomagnetic field about this thing. I said, well, that's quite interesting. So I said, do you have any, you got a scale that you stand on in the bathroom that we can put this on? He goes, oh, no. We have this, we got the tool for this. So I say to the security guys, hey, boys, put your guns down and come over here. And they're like, oh, I don't know. And I said, come on. You're men. You've got guns. Let's go. And so the guy with the 2001 spacesuit, men, take my orders. And he's like Darth Vader, meaning it comes out of a little speaker in his suit, right? So anyway, I said, okay, boys. And they have this thing that's like an airbag, right? And so they've unfolded it. And so they've kind of inflated it about that much. And so I said, okay, guys, we're just going to lean it up. Just lean it up. And so we're leaning it up and, okay, slide the thing. So this is a pretty big thing. The airbag thing is about, 4 or 5 feet this way and about 10 feet that way. And so we're leaning it up. And they're trying to slide it underneath there. And so we have to keep leaning it up so it's tipping like this, and we get it so it's almost on its edge here, right? And they're trying to slide this airbag underneath, and all of the walls of the truck just fall open like a flower. Boom. And out of it is, inside of it, is this, I don't even know how to describe it, a multi-dimensional light show, meaning there is no solid anything in there, but it's like Jello, really bright, lit up Jello, and it's not, because it's not like, and I was like poking it, don't poke it, and I'm like poking it, and I said, what instruments do you guys have to, let's kind of figure out, and pretty much half those guys were already running the other way. My boss and I, the guy in the 2001 spacesuit, and a couple other of those engineering guys who were kind of like me, who were like, wow, what is, they were like, wow, what is that? So instead of the 25 people who were there were now, and all the security guys, the big men, they ran away. The only guys were the guys in their own spacesuits who had the rail guns protecting the rich guy, right? So there's about 30 guys who were there when we got there before I tipped this thing up on its corner. And anyway, so this was that, and things were doing this, and then another group of people who were in like 2001 spacesuits came, and that's when the guy said, "Okay, everyone out. This crew's going to be here," and we walked out, and we went back to where that airlock, and everybody else left, and it was just the really rich guy with his security contingent, my boss and me, and he goes, "So, I want you boys to think about what you just did, and you can't tell anybody, and the check is in the mail, and Dr. So-and-so, I want you and your assistant here to go back and, we're going to send you to this other place to be debriefed." What'd you say, John? So what in your life has been exciting? What could you say could even match that little experience? Or even have a story, Boy, you look cut today.
I do.
Boy, those muscles are amazing.
I'm showing myself off.
Oh boy, you look hot.
I walk down here to show off how good I look.
Oh yeah, you look like Jesus. You're so Jesus-y like, it really you are.
I'm strong. They say, well, strength doesn't always mean like Jesus.
No,
but
no, Jesus is the strongest thing in the world.
I'm not mean. It's John Birmingham. A bigger man than you. No.
Okay. We'll go back to something that, kind of represents what you guys are going to be experiencing in 2022. You're going to see that light in the sky, and it will be coming down on people, and people go, what is it when people get sucked up into heaven? What do they call that? What is that thing when the 18,000 people and everyone goes to hell? What do they call that? The
Judgment Day?
Yeah, but what is that thing when people are, and they're missing, that all those books are.
That's something different.
What is that?
I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's real or not.
What is it? What it's in the Bible. It must be real. It's in the Bible.
Aliens are good in the Bible.
No, well, not really. They talk about people coming from the sky, and they call them angels, but they could be aliens. But it's how it's translated. But what is that called? Anyone know what I'm talking about? When it's a rapture. That's it. So we're going to have a Hollywood version, and it's going to be all around us, and it's going to be something of the nature of whatever technology that we discovered in that coal mine, right? Because that's it wasn't an entity. It was what I thought it was. And the closest thing I've seen of what that was quantum computing. I think that thing was an AI of sorts that had to be, 5-6 million years old, because it was in a coal seam that was no one dug a shaft, put it in there, and the coal grew around that box, right? So what are you guys saying about this? I really have a compassion. Yeah, me too. Why do you think I'm here? I have compassion for that guy. Yep, he's all of that. But, it's pretty much up to us to have the life. We are the decider. We can't go, oh God, I want my family back. No, you want your family back. You go to where they are. You interact with them. You make a connection. You negotiate a place where everyone can, you basically have to settle. In the legal sense, you settle for things. May not be exactly what you want, so I can get, I have like these 4 component parts of this is what I want. This mommy part, this, 2 son part, and this baby part that's not even a part of me, but I want them all, right? Well, if you want to have a relationship, you go and you interact and you settle for what you can get, right? And if that settling is only getting 1 son, Well, then that's what you said, and then you don't give up. That one son is you just made a purchase. You just got your
And
foot
you
in
get
the
all-
door. And what was that, John?
You get all make sure they're okay.
Well,
If Danica doesn't want to be with me, then I can't make her.
but she has control of the children. And if you are allowed to see one of your children, you should let that one child into your life, because that's important. That child has when did that child go to Texas? How old was that child?
I feel like I look cool. They were in 2017. Ivan was 7.
And Rowan was
Wait. Ivan was 7. Rowan was
9, 10.
Rowan was like
How many years
Wait.
old is Rowan older than
Rowan was 10.
Rowan? Yeah. So, and that was when? 2017?
Okay. He's
2017?
2017. The baby
18,
the baby was
19,
1.
20,
0.
21, 22. So that was 7 years. How many? 5 years ago? About
The
5.
baby was 0. Was not yet 1.
So, but that was 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, it's been awful.
So-
the baby's 5.
So Rowan now is 15. So John's children, and baby girl, who's not John's child, not genetically,
doesn't have a
not
father
biologically.
Besides me, I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to be her father.
But
I've cried about her.
isn't Danica's father more of those children?
I don't even know how I'm going to keep living.
Isn't
Once you cry
Isn't
every
Danica-
day for years, many years.
but Freud said when you do this thing over and over
not,
again,
not knowing
and you
I
don't
went there 7
expecting
times.
so
I went there 7 times.
you expect them to come here, right? You
I
expect
thought
them to
they'll
come
just
here.
finally be here.
Yes. So after 5 years of them not being here, why do you still expect them to be here? How's that going to happen? Magically?
Not magically. That's the occult.
No,
I don't like the occult.
that's
It's bad.
no, that's
bad.
that's Lucky Charms.
Unless people are saying it in a small amount of sin way, they don't think of it. But it's bad. It's magic. It's
So-
trying to conjure.
So I'm
things.
glad John came down here, because he's again being the
There's
people's
punishment.
saint of truth. He's showing you exactly what
I found
the
there's punishment,
material
real punishment for it.
transactional world is, the mercantile world that we live in, which
I
is a
didn't do
total
it.
illusion of
Yes, I
ego.
didn't do it.
John
Almost
is
did it.
because so what's the most important in this picture of you, John? Right? Is that you look cool, right? That's
Well, that's what I felt like. I show up looking my best and feel happy, like I look good.
right.
So I
So
don't know if it looks like anything that special or not.
Right. and that is the main problem we have today, is that the narrative of the corporate state is saying you have to look good, you have to look pumped, you have to look like what the TV
No.
says you have to look like, you have to look like what the
The
magazine
kids in
says.
classes made me feel bad. So
How
now
many
it makes me
years?
feel- I think, oh, I look good. I get to,
So
you know,
so what grade was
I don't
that?
know.
What grade was that?
It was age about 10 to
Well, just say
to
10
grad
for
school.
for.
Through grad.
We'll
grad
just say
school.
10 because that's when it started, and it's easier math. So you're 42, right?
44.
44. So
I actually
so
have
10
be
to 40. So
44.
that was 34 years ago when he was,
Right,
and
44.
they made him think he was fat.
I-
That should
so
crush.
somehow now
That
I
should
feel
crush.
happy when I look better.
What is looking better though?
And it goes along with my health too, I think.
What?
But it may change in the future. Like if I start looking worse, then maybe I can still feel happy and feel good, but not like look as in shape or something.
Basically,
But now it kind of, I think I keep working out because I don't want to be in bad health either. But I don't know if I'm doing way too much or if I'm doing just enough, or I don't know. What
Again, John is being the people's saint of truth because he's saying,
But it feels
I don't know
like
if I'm working too hard or if I should be doing
just-
this. They're not
Really?
listening to their heart. They're not, going into
But now it
conscious
feels like
awareness,
it's
right?
I don't know.
Oh, let's see. They can choose their parent to live with. Their parent can care for them, right?
I guess
I
I'm
mean,
physically
Fish
healthy and mentally
Fish
healthy.
is a person who can tell stories about children and what's how to protect them. She has an amazing story, and she is a noble person.
She's a she.
Yeah. Well,
She's not a he.
I have no idea. That fish is whatever that
It's
gender that
fancy.
fish is.
I've seen
That-
their names.
Okay, it's a he. So
I don't
that fish is a true parent because of what that fish has done, right?
So how do I get to Texas? Just go. to the plane?
We had a car right here. We could have driven to Texas, but oh no, I can't drive. I can't drive. Oh, I need to take a plane. Sure, let's take a plane. I can't drive. It's so hard to go to Texas.
You have to get out of those places and look at all those people and not be able to go back home.
Well, that's life, John. That is life. That's why we were put on this earth to interact with each other because that is the.
If it was in LA, I'd enjoy it. Like I built up in my mind, oh, if it was LA, I could do movie stuff or something, and I'll like it better there.
Well, how many times have you been to LA since you left? You know,
Well,
when you left,
in 2018,
when you and Danica came back, was
in 2018,
and Rowan was born here. So, Bro, were you married in LA?
no,
You were married here?
I was born here.
No, you didn't. You're not listening to what the question I asked was when did you come? You went to school.
2005, I came back home.
Okay, so from 2005.
97 to 2005, I was in LA.
Okay, so 2005
I
to
went there
today.
too.
So 2005 to today. How many times did you go to LA? With the idea of like
I was there one time in 2006.
right,
Then I didn't get to go there at all until 2018.
and then did you go again
Yeah, I went like 3 times or something.
after
like
that? So
Maybe
4 times
3
altogether.
times.
And when you went,
I liked flying.
and when you went there in
in
2006,
2018.
in 2006,
That's in addition.
in
to going to Texas.
2006, you went there and you brought all of your stuff. You got a U-Haul and you drove, right?
Oh, that was in 2015. I tried going there, but it was awful, and I only stayed 2 days. And
But you brought all your
I
stuff.
forgot about that.
You were going to
2015, I tried
move there, right? You were gonna
Yeah.
right,
I was going to, but I was a Republican.
right.
I was a big Republican, kind of, and I thought, but that wasn't the problem. I was like,
So that was 5
I didn't
times that he
move
went
there. I
there,
couldn't
where he had the
move.
opportunity
I stayed a day
to
or
be
two
the
and
movie
left.
star. If he stayed there and worked
No,
at it, he might
I
have been.
stayed 2 days.
Yeah, but he
And
brought
went right back
his
home.
everything. How much
I
money
went
did
right back
how
home
much
in
money did you
2015.
spend renting the truck and driving
I don't
across?
know.
Probably what do you think?
Why are you
$5,000?
talking about that?
Because it's relevant to the fact that you stated that LA is the place you want to live,
No, and by the time
and that's where you feel
that was in
comfortable,
2015.
and that's if you go to LA, all things will be right with you.
No, I don't.
But
think
you
that.
have been there 6 different times, once carrying all of your stuff.
What is that?
What is
Oh, your suit.
Yeah.
No, in 2018 it was good every time I went. I enjoyed it. I went like 3 times in the same year. It was enjoyable.
Then how come he
It was
came back?
fun.
Then how come he came back?
It
How
was
come you
expensive.
didn't? How,
That's the only reason why I ever moved back here. At
But-
first, but not really.
but the first time you
That's
went
for
there,
what I thought. God wanted me to be here. This is where I got married and had kids.
So-
I technically.
so
got
God
married
does
in
not
Texas,
want you to
and I had
use
kids.
God as an excuse to what goes on in your life. You know, you are the decider. You know, God is your partner. And what you are to God is a reflection of what God is. God can't see itself. And he created all of this to have a companion. That's what we are to God. We are companion. And yet we are just this mud puppet. We have this spirit that is unbelievably amazing and powerful, but we have no idea. We don't use it. We're not, we're connected to it, but we're so distracted through the duality of materialism that, we're not even close to being what we can be. When they say, oh, and I love it when people say, oh, well, humans only use 10% of their brain. They don't have to. They can be all they, that army, be all you can be. And God it's not like he's the magic bunny. He's going to make things happen. Hey, Anthony. So let's see what people are saying here. I heard a slow descent into madness. Yes, exactly. And divine, yes, it's okay. Man, I just got that in my funnies you learned, and yep, yep. So that was good. John, he's like he came right on cue. He was the example of what is 20. John, what you just saw there, that is what the hidden hand wants the population of Earth to go through in 2022. And they think if everyone can be John Birmingham, then we can control them. And they can. But they can't because not everyone is John Birmingham, right? But he is the canary in the coal mine. He is, and when I called him that, that little thing, that the coal mine I was talking about is exactly what I just explained to you, where that, and basically when I thought, later on when we were being debriefed, someone said, so you guys were brought in there because you have your own opinion. And my boss did most of the talking, but then the guys who were debriefing us, and we were in we were in this place, the Greenbrier, in the underground of the Greenbrier. And we were allowed to go up to the dining hall, but we had a minder until they let us go. And it was, and they pretty much, it wasn't like open for business, but it was open for us. And we did not get debriefed in the hotel. They took us to the underground facility, right? He's just stuck. Yep, that's exactly it. That's why I have been trying to unstick him, because inside he's a sweet, nice guy, right? But you see him, he threw me out 32 times, and most of them in the middle of the winter when it's snowing, raining. I can't. I mean, he wants me to run. Oh, it'll be great if you run, because he's done running. He wants me to run, right? And I can't. Meaning my legs are mush. It's the bone doctor I went to see a couple of weeks ago. He was amazed. I was walking without any clamps or anything. And one small step, I fall. I'm like a teacup, and so I'm going to run around on this hill that has rocks and twigs and branches and tree, down. Run for him? No. It's run. And it's like, because he should be running, not me. He should be, I walked up there. He said, oh, run. And I just walked, He doesn't even walk, And this, this stuff is, he shouldn't be drinking this. It's, 40% caffeine. I'm not drinking any coffee. And he bought, when Kroger's brought up like $300 worth of food up here, he had 12 cases of this, each having 12 cans in it, right? And I said, instead, he had a case or two left of this before he had Kroger's come up here. And I said, why don't you get some seltzer, right? So he got 12 cases of this, and he got, 2 things of seltzer. And he, and I had, when they delivered it, I wanted to see what it was, so I had him put it on this counter, and I go through it, and then I said, well, take this upstairs to John. And so like 90% of, he had a ton of fruit, and I set, a third of the fruit up there and kept 2/3 here, right? And what has John done? He has brought all the fruit that I set up there to eat back down. He brought it back down here. But he had, I don't know, he had so many of those, Fauci little Debbys, the zombie cupcakes, that, and he's eating them all. And so that's why, And so he feels guilty about eating it. And I'm making this really good food. And I said, John, I'm making this, and there's a big pan of it. I have this big pan of this, and that's beans and chicken and lots of vegetables, and very good, right? Now this is kind of the same thing, but it has two little Debbies that I crushed up in it. And this is the thing that, this tastes amazing. This definitely tastes like shit. And the only thing different is the little Debbies, the two of them, just a pack like this, right? And, what did I do with can't believe it. John took the little Debbie box back with him. He doesn't want me to show it off. Let's see what you guys are saying. That person just stuck. Yeah. Let's see. I found. Try to find you all. Found Anthony there. Yeah. Me on FB is Lamb Ave. John is too detached from reality to notice the obvious. Yep, pretty much. Such a shame. So this is my last shot, and that's why I'm gonna, be here until he throws me out or until spring comes, right? And if the winter continues being like this, I might lean sooner than later. But I really don't want to go back to the deep green because I packed it all up and shut everything down, and it would be, if I got there and then it snowed, it'd be so. I'm gonna be. I have other places I can go, and if I have to, I will, and they'll be much fun because every 32 times John threw me out. I went to places like he threw me out one night, and I couldn't see. Luckily I knew every little corner of our drive. The road up from the county road is 2 miles, and it's kind of straight up, and it's basically a riverbed, and it's ruddy, and it's stones, and to drive, and no lights, no illumination, and there wasn't anything you could see, and not a moon in the sky. And he threw me. I said, John, wait till in the morning. Just let us go to sleep. No, and so he had a hammer in his hand, and so he's never been physically violent to me. I mean, he had this hammer once. He was kind of threatening with it, and then he saw it, and then he hit himself in the head many times with it. It's like, oh no, John, stop. And that's what he did the other night. He just punched the crap out of himself, and that's not good. And I don't know. I mean, it looked like he was really punching him. He wasn't punching me. I don't know how. He's got those big muscles in his arms. So I'm really not quite sure. But I am here, and I've come to Roanoke to tie everything up because John's not the only person I care about here. And I was involved in a lot of political, social, cultural things in this town, and I got to a place where. I was reading about Alexa. Alexa's always on, always listening, and is always saying everything you say that it can hear back to Amazon. Amazon is Amazon because the CIA, the federal government, and the hidden hand has just pumped money through it. One of the reasons I closed all the mom and pop stores so Amazon would get 40% of everyone having to buy toilet paper. I mean, this is pretty, and John Birmingham is again, I keep saying, the microcosm, the canary in the coal mine, the people's saint of truth. He really, really, really is. Let's see. Anthony, I can hardly, the thing is so small. I mean, Lana, thank you for always putting it in caps. Lan is the best. And Lynn C. also does it. Thank you. And also Medina Rose. Is that it? Anyway, every if you can put it in caps so I can actually read it. But Anthony, what are you saying here? We found each other. Oh well. And he says, Al and John on social media, or are they too old? Now, I don't want to be on any of that stuff. I'm too old. John is on social media. He's on every platform because he wants to show how cool he is. Me, I don't care. I'm only doing this because of you guys. And I was, in the ivy covered halls of academia, being the itinerant scholar. I mean, all of those technologies were coming of age in those places, right? So I saw it, I saw that right off the bat, in 1991, I was in Cornell. I worked for a guy like the guy I worked in Pennsylvania for, very similar person. He was an cultural social anthropologist, right? He was there. He was a demographer. He was looking at trends. And my friend, who was in charge of the scholastic everything at Cornell, she just she had the power. He's going to work for you, and you need him. And the guy said sure because she was his boss, and once I started there, he goes, yeah, I need you. You're good. You're fun. You're smart. You're showing me things I need to look at. Blah blah blah. So anyway, and he would send me up to do things that he didn't want to do, right? And at Cornell, if you go to any national laboratory, Sandias, Los Alamos, Brookhaven, Fermi Labs, any one of those national laboratories, there will be and they're all like little towns, and there will be a Cornell Avenue, Cornell Boulevard. Cornell is instrumental in all of this esoteric science, right? I mean, they were the first. They had a atom smasher under their football stadium before Stanford. So anyway, I'm there, and my boss says, you're going to go and for SDI in the 80s, DARPA built this gigantic building and turned it over to the corporations. It was called the Math Center, and it was just one gigantic, quantum, and it was like 30 stories, and all of Cornell's campus is all these like very 19th century, stone buildings. It looks like Hogwarts, And right on this hill, which was an Indian burial mound, and Colonel Cornell stole that hill because it's really beautiful from the Iroquois Nation, and they couldn't really do anything about it, and because they were used to dealing with the Dutch, who basically made deals, that made contracts that were kind of honored. But once we had the revolution and America took over, the white corporate boys of the founding fathers basically said, okay, all those contracts are null and void, and we're just going to kill all the Indians and take all their stuff. So the Iroquois had enough experience that they were good negotiators. That's why they're still around. That's why they're still the Iroquois nation. So, Colonel Cornell took that sacred property from them because it's really pretty. I mean, this river goes right through it. There are all these waterfalls right through town. And they said, okay, we can't do much about this. But they said, this place right here, where this mound is. And the guy said, oh, you mean the burial mound? I said, no, it's a sacred site. It's an energy plateau. It is a pyramid. And he goes, what? And they said, you can do whatever the heck you want with this place, but do not touch this. And that's right where DARPA built this building, right? 30 stories up, but 70 stories underground. So they went right through that power point, and they knew what they were doing. They did that on purpose, to double down on whatever, MJ12 magic, 12 technology. They had Star Trek stuff in the 40s. So anyway, this place, so they had Star Trek shit in the 40s, and this was 91. That's like, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80, 80 to 90, 50 years of fooling around with that kind of technology. That's what they put in that building. So you couldn't go in there. If you did not have, I had this little, my boss says, go in there. I said, they want you. Why? He says, I don't like going in there. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Something's not good there. So you're sending me? Of course, you're my assistant. I can send you, and I know you, and you'll have a better insight on what the shit they want to show me. So I'm sending you because you're going to see it better than I am. I have too much prejudice. A, you don't care. B, you diss everything except for people's feelings. So you're the guy who should go be there, not me. And I said, well, okay, whatever you say. I work for you, sir, whatever. And so, I go there and she goes, but you're going to have to wear this. And one of these little tags, not even a picture, not even a name. Those little squares that have all the little squiggly stuff in it? It had that. That's all it had, right? So I went up and, there is this big opening, not door, opening, right? And you go up there and you hear this bing bong. Do not go any farther without showing, proper security clearance. Bing bong. And if you move a little farther, it goes, do not move any closer. Otherwise, severe damage may occur to your physicality. I mean, they don't say they're going to shoot you. That's how they describe it. And there's a guy right there with an M16, right? There's a couple of guys there, right? So I kind of take my little thing out like that and said, bing bong, valid ID. On the glass panel, put your right hand firmly on the glass. I do. Bing bong. Walk to the retinal scanner. Bing bong. Put your left eye, which is my crazy eye, up there. And I said, well, this is going to be fun. See what they get out of that. And, it puts up, and there's this like staticky noise, and it's like not knowing what to do. Bing bong. Take your head away from retinal scanner and do not show this eye to any retinal scanner in the building. Your palm print and ID card is sufficient. And it's this like female voice. So anyway, this kind of field, that felt like air. Like, you go through a door and they have the warm air blowing on you, but it wasn't. It was like something else. It kind of made you feel uncomfortable. But anyway, once it said, move forward, the thing kind of, and it didn't really make any noise. Those things that blow on you make noise. It had no noise. So I went through it, and this person showed up, very nice, attractive woman, and she had her little ID, and my name's Kathleen, and I will be your escort. I said, oh, that's nice. Can we date? And she just said, she's like, we're like this. And, we went over to the elevator bank. She took me up to whatever floor it was, because there were no buttons, and there was no thing saying what floor you were on. And we just kind of went up, and we stopped, and the wall opened, and we went down this hallway. There was nobody there, and there was no, there were a bunch of doors, no like numbers on the doors, no nothing, she stopped. She said, show your thing. I said, put your hand up, and I did. The thing opened up. She goes, and there was a nice table, and there was a very comfy chair and a few other less comfy chairs, but this thing was, I went to it, I went in and she sit in the chair. I said, I'm going to sit in this. No, sit in that chair. And I went to sit in that. She said, sit in that chair. I said, okay. I said, can I get a sandwich? And then she said, the screen will show you a menu. You just ask it which one you want. And it was like the replicator. And there's a little, it'll open up and whatever you want will be there. So I said, okay. So I sat in that chair and, I said, how? I'd like, and I said, I want, lasagna. I want a brochette. I want some brie cheese. I want a glass of, red wine, good red wine. I think I gave a year and a type. And it said, understood. And then, like in a few seconds, the little door opened. There it was, a nice hot steaming lasagna and some vegetables and nice brioche and brie cheese, a wheel of brie cheese, and a little bottle of wine and a glass full of wine. Right, it was on a tray. Took the tray out, put it on the table. I had a little, napkin. I put a nice cloth napkin. Not a little teeny one, but it covered my whole lap and I, started eating away, and it was quite nice. And this is 1991, and I can't get out. I, got up, and there's a door there, but there's no doorknob, there's no hinge, it's just this door, and so I, I go sit in my thing, and I start, slabbing on some more brie onto the brioche, and are you wearing a mask, John?
Yeah,
Why?
I got to sweep off in it. I was vacuuming and got a little dusty.
Okay, gotcha. So anyway, so this guy came in, kind of, I don't know, he's somewhere around 30-ish. And then again, a guy with a really nice suit, he's probably in his 60s. And another guy who was also a little younger and not as nice a suit, but way nicer suit than the young guy who had, this briefcase he was carrying, and he had it, handcuffed to his wrist, right? So, I'm sitting in that chair. There's only two other chairs. So the, two guys with the nicer suits than the guy who was chained to the briefcase, they sit down. The guy with the briefcase takes his arm like that, and the guy with the not that nice suit takes the key out of his pocket, unlocks the handcuff, and the guy goes and stands by the door like a guard. And then we talk a little bit. And then the door opens up, and not with a but it should have made a shush because, that's what they do in Star Trek. But the door kind of opened and they said, just stand guard outside. Right? Bing, closed, right? So they said, did you have a nice lunch? And I said, sure, you want some? And they said, no, we already had ours. And they didn't tell me their names, but they said, we think you'll be a great help to us. And if you help us with this, then there are other things and you'll be rewarded. And I said, well, gee, thanks. I said, what if I can't help you? Well, that's okay. You tried, you did your best. And that's another reason you're here. We know you do your best. And we respect your opinion. It's not like we want you to, parrot back to us anything. That's why you're here. We know that you're going to tell us what you think, and we respect that. So that's what we're expecting. And we're not going to say anything. We're just going to show you something, and we want your opinion, right? So I'm like, okay, sure, whatever you say. And so they open up the briefcase, right? There's a combination. There's a little pad where the guy with a really nice suit has to put his thumb, and it just opens up. It doesn't go click or anything, it just opens up, right? And they turn the briefcase around, and in the briefcase, it's all foam, and in it is one of these. No buttons, and doesn't even have the protector. It's just black, right? It's black shiny this and black on the other side. And there are no buttons or holes or anything, right? There's no little speaker, there are no little cameras. You can't see it. It's just this black shiny part, and the rest is black matte. And the guy takes it out and hands it to me and says, what do you think this is? And I looked at it, and I was doing like this with it and, turning around. And I said, well, and I handed it back to him. And I said, it is an electronic device that is microwave connected to a central system, which is a vehicle for surveillance of the person who owns it. And it's going to be mass produced and give to every person on the planet. And it will, the There will be no more TV, no more telephone, no more computers. This device will connect its user to the Matrix, right? And I don't even know if the Matrix movie was made, but it was the Matrix. I saw a Matrix. I said, and it will be all commerce will be done through it, all business will be done through it, all education and entertainment will be done through it, and it will follow. It will surveil. It will be. People will go to bed. The last thing they see is this. It'll be next to their head. The frequency of the microwave will be able to transmit into the brain, and it will control the person. And the guy, this is 1991. And there was nothing like that on the market, right? And I mean, there were cell phones, but they were like the size of a banana, and they didn't do anything. You can make a phone, and they were like extension. The cell phones at that time were, I remember in the 80s, I worked for someone, and they gave me a pager that you could, it had little buttons, and you could send them a sentence, so many characters. It was like a tweet, right? And you could communicate. You couldn't talk, but you could like, hey, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Oh, my 20 is here. So, and then in, in the early 90s, I mean, in 91, I don't even think they had the banana size cell phones, but it was just almost there. This is what they showed me. And the guys were like, and I said, this is a vehicle that will be the single device that will incarcerate the human race, that will take their connectivity to their spirit. I mean, and the folks, you guys, and I said, you guys, it will be an intermediate thing. And all it will do is make the individual, the artist in the first person, it will make their spirit stronger. So they will be able to walk through. I said, that little barrier you had downstairs at the front door? Well, that's what you're trying to put everyone into. And by doing this, I would say a third, if not half of the human race, by being exposed to that, will make them stronger. It'll be the thing that will push them through to the other side to be that better self. And that's when they were like, and I said, you want any more? And they said, no. The guy outside will escort you downstairs. What happened to pretty girl? The guy outside will escort. Will you ever need my help again? Maybe. And so that's Cornell. So you go to Cornell and ask for them. It's like, and it looks like the monolith in 2001. It's this 20, 30-story building, right? It's in a major place in the, neighborhood, right? And it's still unlike any of the other buildings, and it's built right on the sacred site. And when I was in Cornell, I was also involved, all the artists. There was a guy named Paul Brunton, and he wrote a really great book called Wisdom of Overself. There's a guy like me, but he stayed at Cornell, and like I would have, he stayed there, and they made a chair for him. Meaning he was more than a tenured professor. He's more than a professor. He had a chair, right? He held the chair. I think there's a Paul Brunton chair. And he wrote this great book. If you go read a book, go read The Wisdom of the Overself. Really great book. And so he was there, from the 40s until he died sometime in the 70s or maybe early 80s before I got there. But I'd seen him lecture at the New School, and I'd seen him at the NYU. And when I was at Carnegie Mellon, he was there. That's where I met Dr. The guy who was the economist for the CFR, Quigley, Dr. Quigley. And so, once I meet these people, I can go visit them, And, once they get to know me, they like having me around, And so, anyway. So Paul Brunton, so he had a crew, just like you. I got my cadre here. He had his students, and they were so touched. He changed their lives in such a way. about, over the 40 years he was a teacher there were 100 people who stayed, instead of going on and doing something, they wanted to follow in his footsteps. So, they went and, got, higher degrees and became professors there. But what they did that was really amazing, they had a commune. They started a commune in the 60s called Wisdom's Overself, right? And they still had it. And one of the greatest things that happened to me, so, I'm there that year, I'm working for that guy, and I'm mixing with all, they have, and Cornell they have an art department that's beyond belief. And they have art collection that's worth billions of dollars. And they have a great museum that has a deep, deep, deep. And I got, my boss, all his buddies were, you know, directors of all these departments. So that's the guys I hung out. So all the people who were just lonely people who before they got their tenure were like, how come he can walk around in his pajamas, he hangs out, well, he eats dinner maybe he won't even come hang with, and I would hang with them, and all they were like, John, don't I look cool? Look at my new shoes. And I've been trying to write this, and can you read this? I said, sure, I'll read it. And it was like, all you did was, this is before people were like getting their reports that they had to write, and they steal it off of the internet. They get it off of Wikipedia. I mean, so anyway, these guys weren't that interesting. So why waste my time? I mean, why do I spend my time with you? Because you guys are interesting. Right? I can sense, that I can sense you through the internet. I pump, shamanic energy through the World Wide Web. You guys feel it. That's why you come and watch. Otherwise, I'm just jabbering, jibber jabber, But it goes inside of you. It touches things. You don't even kind of definitely smoke signals. Let's see. I think what's app is everything on the internet. If you're on the internet, if you think there's any privacy, any point-to-point, anything, forget about it. It is all there, put there by the CIA, the NSA, and those guys are just chipmunks compared to the hidden hand, the powers that shouldn't be, and the high table. And they are a cabal of things that have been around for thousands of years. And then when you look at Davos people and the Bilderbergs and the Illuminati, those guys have only been around for a few hundred years. They're the people. They're like Jeff Bezos and Billy Boy, Little Penis, and non-human Facebook boy, and Elon moron. They're all just. They're not the richest. I mean, I'm the richest man in the world. Based in dollar bills that are worthless. You could use them as toilet paper. That's why they'll do anything to keep their position. Definitely smoke signals. Fish. Graham. Why shouldn't we not connect? Let's see. We're following that you trust have been if you're pointing a finger. See, you guys go on, and I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just jibber jabbing. I know it's going in you. I know it's affecting you, because when you get a hold of me at the dude awake 42 at Gmail, that's when it's, we have a conversation. But you expect anything to be private now, forget about it. And there's so many CCTVs. I mean, you have one of these, you're being videoed all the time going back to home office. Even when you turn it off, even when you put it in a drawer, that's why I don't keep it on. That's when I drive. It's in a glove box, and I have it turned off, and good old, I only keep Alexa on when I want to use it, and when I say on, I unplug it. If I'm like it's unplugged right now, but I'm sure it still works. It doesn't need to work. To work, it doesn't need to be plugged in. For you to use it, yes, it needs to be plugged in. But there's so much scalar energy pumped I mean, every human being on this planet is like a cell tower. Let's see. Don't need Gore. Tell me I want to feel. Yeah, exactly. You don't need anybody to tell you what to feel. Yeah. Thanks, Graham. I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you guys. I feel your love. Why do you think I do this? I feel your love. If we do lower caps, it's our private group, not for you. Oh, I got. Okay. I got it. Okay. See, that's the only person who ever told me what that was, and I knew I could sense that that's what you were doing, but no one told me. I knew it, but I told us, I ain't really doing it. So anyway, yep. See, isn't this fun? Even when we have little issues, it's still fun, right? And I only do this because I love you guys. I don't have any need to show how cool I am or anything. I know that this helps folks, and even though I'm not there's about, I don't know, the best I can think, maybe a few thousand watch this or about something, but it's truly amazing. Every time I do this, like last night I shut it off, 190 people it said watched it, right? X amount of people commented. It was on for like 4 hours, and the time accumulated hours was like 36 hours, and the average time of watching was 20, 30 minutes, right? So I look at it this morning, it said like 70 people watched it, and the accumulated hours was like 15, and it's like, I don't even know, I'm sure they're doing that to like keep me down on the farm on the algorithm, right? So, but they want me to do this because it within their plan, it does.
I'm just a fishing in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I'm just a fishing in Tennessee. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm just a fishing in Tennessee. Good old Uncle Murphy.
There's a character. See, I think it's in the Family Guy. That voice of John sounds just like this character, and he's an old, really he's an emaciated skeleton with skin on him, and he's an old guy, and he lives in the woods, kind of like me, but I'm not that emaciated. And all he drinks is Baileys, and he's constantly trying to get little children to drink Baileys with him in the woods.
He tried to get into the devil, and then he turned into an old genetic manipulated old man covered in shit.
Oh, yes.
Baileys.
Yeah.
His old grave.
Oh.
Whatever they call him.
Do not say that anybody should connect if you don't want to. Yep.
He covered himself in his own green stuff.
Yep. So the Family Guy, it's so one reason I do the stuff I do, I try to help folks, right? But in the last 2 years, I've been writing novels. I've written 4 so far, right? One's called Bad Girl. One's called Ear Hair. One's called Legend. Another is called Legacy. Another's called Work in Progress. So those are, and Legend, Ear Hair is the most complete. I'm got it almost complete. Bad Girl is like maybe halfway done. Legend and Legacy are maybe 3/4 done. Work in Progress is still a work in progress. And so but how I write these things, I got this mind that tape records everything that goes on in front of me, right? I don't have photographic memory towards words that I read. I remember everything, but not photographically. And I learned how to use the uh, Vivian Wood reading system, where you can read a book first, go through it. You can read a whole book in 15 minutes, right? But you're just like turning page after page and just letting yourself click, photograph, click, photograph, click, photograph, click, photograph. And unless you have a photographic memory, you don't really take the picture, but you get the gist of what that page is. And then you go back and you read it, and you take 20 minutes. And what you do is you read the first sentence in every paragraph. And you can do that on each page. It takes maybe a minute to do that for each page. Minute, and then you really get a more contextual sense of what the book is about. Then you go and read the book. And after you've photographed it and then got contextual sense, which you can now talk, very fluently about whatever that book is. But if you want to get the real feeling of it, if it's a novel, a story, or whatever, if it's not just a technical thing, you read it again like you're reading it, and you feel it, and that takes it 300 pages takes maybe an hour and a half too, right? It depends on how deep you're going, right? And then there is this other part to this thing. It's called the mind castle, where you facts and figures and things, and where you put your car keys and all of that is the mind castle. And so you're every day you get distracted. Where did I put my car keys? You go into the mind castle. You go into the room where it is, and you put it on that where you put it on that shelf. There it is. Boom. And the same thing is with facts and figures and other stuff.
Boom. Like that. You like the cheese? It's cheese. It's cheese. Come on. I see. And back here at the counter. Yeah, we own the whole place. We got $300 million. We got 10 of these. We got 100. You want cheese? Cheese. Come on. Who cares? Yeah, I see. I see.
Graham. So, anyway, let's see. We've been on almost 3 hours. You've had a nice chat amongst yourself. You've listened to my stories. They've kind of rumbling around in your head, and they will pop out in things that you're thinking about a little time later. A third time lucky. Yep. Do not try.
Hasidic Jewish people come to mind.
Says that, even me. Exactly, because if you as a theologic scholar, as a guy who went to school to be a Catholic priest, as a guy who went to school to be a Kabbalic rabbi, basically all the historical characters that are in these books are just
Come on, you got a mustache, big beard. Come on, curly sideburns. Come down, big tall black hat, big black suit. I'm only wearing a white shirt. I know. Come on, you want cheese?
Again, John is the canary in the coal mine. He really represents. Hey, John. Don't take that upstairs. I have no more broom or brush. Bring it back, okay? And that's what John does. I mean, we have no dishes or silverware. And I brought, before I left, I filled all the drawers with everything. It's all upstairs. And he doesn't, it's like you go up there and you'll find a dish behind the couch. You'll find, and this stuff's all over the place, right? And I would go up there, every week or two and collect all that stuff. He's got a dishwasher that really works great. Dishwashers are environmentally better than if you wash the dishes in the sink, because they use way less water, way less electricity or heat, because you got the stuff and you're always running the hot water to rinse. And I mean, I wash, if I have to wash stuff in a sink, I scrub it up. I pick the crud off. I have my little, where is it? My little spray bottle, I have this, right? It has isopropyl alcohol 100%. I had a buddy of mine who lives in the next town off, and he's like, he's actually in the next state in Madison County. And he's basically has Shine and Bud. That's, and he's had Shine and his whole family, everyone has had Shine and Bud, that's the family biz. And so when COVID came out, the state that knows what he does and kind of tacitly allows it, because when those people, ATF, went after them, they won. They weren't going to be the Branch Davidian. They won to the point there was a bridge that went over this TVA lake, and that's the way the feds came into that part of the county, and they frigging blew it up. And so the feds started to, take their helicopters in, and when they came to land in that things, these guys had RPGs. You can't get a tall missile, but you can get, you can't get a Stinger missile. You can get an RPG, and if you wait, like those guys, they were all camouflaged, and they knew there's only one place where the helicopter could land. And with an RPG, they're pretty good. They could, when the thing was still up about 300 feet, they could hit it. You hit a Huey coming in with an RPG, and you hit it. That thing ain't gonna get away too easy, Or you hit it in the rotor assembly and blow the rotor off. So, they had a few of the tussles like that over the years, and those guys always freaking won. So at a certain point, I met these guys because I was sent up there because they're going to build the I-26 interstate right through their county. And the feds were like, well, is it going to be like, Avatar, where, they're constantly being shot at? Anyway, so, I went up there. I hung out at this one general store that had a little place you could, it had tables. You guys would hang out and have coffee and little cheese sandwiches. And I would stay there. And, and one day this guy said, boss wants to see you. I said, oh, okay. And he said, you just come on out. And I was going to get my car. No, leave the car here. So if they didn't like me, I'd end up, it's in the woods, in the shallow grave. I said, fine, let's go. So we did. Talked to the guy. He and I got along famously, and I got the okay. I said, and I was straight up, I'm sent here by the feds because, of all the little, tussles you've had over the years. And they're going to build an interstate. I'm sure they're going to do that because you have your own ears everywhere. And what I'm really sent here to do is to find what path you want that highway to go through your county, how you want it, where you want the exits, what you want. Because they don't want any, they're going to have a lot of people up here. They're going to have a lot of stuff up here. And they said, fine. And they said, so you must have, the feds must already know what they want to do. Come back with all of that and we'll go over it, right? So we did. And we got to be really nice. So, and I kept going down to that general store because, I didn't want to, I knew where they were. They didn't put a bag over my head, but I wanted to show respect. I went down there, and after I did that a few times, the guy said, well, listen, A, you can drive a car up here, but B, I want you to kind of stay up here and get to know who we are. Now, we've gotten to appreciate who you are. We got to kind of like you, but you're not family. So you can't really stay with any of us. But, you have an RV, or can the feds, I said, I got it. And the guy goes, no, I know it. I know that my niece's daughter's girlfriend is in Asheville. And she's a total motorhead. She grew up here. She's a better mechanic than any of the morons up here. And she wanted to make some money and not be made fun of. So she went down to Asheville, and she buys, used school buses from, the Asheville school system. Every year they let go of 2 or 3 at a time, and she'll buy them, and she gets them real cheap, and they're in good shape. And so she picks them all up, and then she takes all those seats out, and she makes an RV on the inside, beds and bathroom and kitchen and stove. And she said, I'll get you one of those. And I said, thanks. So, because when he said, you got an RV, he said, no, they might put, surveillance. No. And he said, I got it. And so I got this. And so he put this on, not on, his house, but he had a bunch of farms, and he had this really sweet place with animals. And he had a nice kind of comfy room. Until I got the bus, I got to stay in the comfy room. I had a nice bed and a desk, but it smelled like animals. And that smell didn't bother me. But, they were always scratching and mooing and making noise. I mean, it wasn't like real. I mean, and people came in and milked them and did things, not just, from 7 a.m. to 4 in the afternoon. I mean, they were taking care of the animals all the time. So, and they taking care of other things. So, I mean, it was nice. It was comfy. It was semi-private. But so the school bus showed up in a couple of weeks, and what was really nice, he said, here is, the title. You go tag it where you want to, right? So I was already at ETSU. I was already going between ETSU and Boone. And so, and I already saw that Tennessee was much more laissez-faire than, I didn't want North Carolina to be my home state. Jesse Helms and all of that. And so I did, I went and tagged it in the radioactive town. And that's where it was tagged, and that's where people thought I lived. But I was really living up. I mean, my bosses knew where I was. And so, a year and a half, I did my ethnography. I did the negotiations. We got everything signed, sealed, and they built the highway. And so, but they were my friends, and I still know people up there. So when this thing came out and about, I was, and a few of them, they're way more technically savvy than I am on the internet. And so, there are a bunch of them that I still kind of communicate, not the higher ups, but the lower lows. And they're still nice people. Everyone up there is really sweet. And so this one guy said, wow, I have this new biz. And I said, what's that? Well, everyone wants disinfectant, and there's none in Walmarts. And if you buy a little bottle, they charge you $5. He goes, well, we distill alcohol. And I just, instead of making shine, I just made a few changes to it. And I'm making 100% isopropyl alcohol. And he said, not only that, the states around here have come to me, because everyone knows. So when the I-26 corridor went in, part of the negotiations I had put into the contract was that from that point on, all the elements of federal and state and county authority would not bother these people one friggin' iota. No taxes, no this, no that. Just leave them alone, or else we'll go back to, you won't like this. So, and everybody had that experience. They tried to double down. They tried to treat these guys like it was Vietnam, and they kicked their butt. And it didn't take 12 years. They did it like in an afternoon. These guys were, when things get weird, the weird get professional. They were like, whatever they did, they were on top of it. So I really haven't, I communicate to them. And there are a couple of people, they don't live up there in Madison County. And their whole, they're not just up there in that Madison County. They're across the planet, these guys, and they've been around longer than, the Illuminati. And so anyway, this one guy, I talk to every now and then because I want his opinion of what is going on. And so, I was taking care of a guy's house when, in 2020. And so he had pretty good internet, and he was in the hospital. He had a heart attack. And that was 2020. I had a great girlfriend. Just before, in 2019, I was going to Johnson City a little more than I did because I hadn't been in Roanoke. So my my really good doctors. And so I had found some doctors who would take care of me that I could trust, that were competent, but aren't like the guys who are here, right? And but I had no eye doctor. I still had to come to Roanoke to get my eyes worked on every 90 days. So that guy found somebody in Johnson City who was, not, I mean, this guy in Roanoke invented the what they do to my eyes, right? And so if you want somebody to operate on your eyeballs, you probably should get the guy who invented the procedure. And I just that's the guy I have who does that for me. And he then made me a lab rat, so I didn't have to pay $1,800 a procedure. And not only that, because I was a lab rat, that's when I got my endocrinologist and all my blood people, because to make that baseline, they looked at everything that was wrong with me and got it down, really good. So that's why I'm really, really good doctors are here, but I have competent folk to take care of me. But I didn't have an eye person. But then my guy here got me a guy in Johnson City. And so I was spending time in Johnson City. And Johnson City, I mean, my real place of, going, if I'm going to go someplace and buy stuff from a store, Boone is, because it's only 16 miles from my house. And so, whereas the other places are at least 28 is the next closest, and 30 is the next, and then 40. So Boone is pretty close to me. And I think it's more than 16. Maybe it's 22, or but it's less than 28. I know that. It's somewhere between 16 and 28 miles. And, I don't have an odometer anymore. When I thought about it, my odometer, I wish I figured out how much, but I know it's somewhere between 6. So it's closer, and it's one road instead of going over here and then going over there and then going over. It's like one road, right? So, and it's a nice road. It's a pretty view, and pretty much all around me is a pretty view until now that the rich people are ripping it up. So anyway, I was going to Johnson City, and I also had friends, still had lots of friends at ETSU. So I would go and stay, they all are upper echelon, tenured professors or head of departments. And they have nice houses out in the country. And, everyone loves me to come visit for 3 or 4 days, right? And then they want to get back to their life. And some people, others, I can stay forever because, I provide things for them. Like, I have friends who want to travel, but they can't because they have a farm and they have animals and they have this and responsibilities. And I can go live in their place for, they want to go someplace for a couple months or a year. So I have a number of people like that. But I can't just go there. They have to call me and say, can you come up take care of my place for the next year? And I go, sure. Right. So anyway, I'm going to Johnson City more because it's only 28, 30 miles to ETSU and another 5 to where the doctor is because they're on the, and Johnson City is a really weird town because if you really don't know it well, I've been living here 20 years and I still get lost in that place. It's like, you can't get there from here. So, let's see, first flight out of Israel to was a number equal the 14, the family. Yes, 13 and 1 hidden spirit cooked. One of the thank you, Graham. See, Graham is doing he's doing it. Then he goes into Final Freaks, and then every time he just gives a like emoji, it makes sense. Ties some money together, bag of money, the happy face with money coming out. Sorry. That's. Thank you, Graham. And Lena, you do the same thing, right? But like Lena, have you gotten a copy of The Art of War? I'm telling you, that's your book for 2022. Because Lana is our warrior princess, and we actually call her Xena, but I like Lana better. It's just, I can't even see that little picture of you, but I just close my eyes and I just see your soul. It's so shiny, bright, sweet, and nice. And you're like Tweety Bird, that chicken hawk was always trying to get Tweety Bird, and no, and he gave up, and the dog was, and Tweety Bird was always in control, and shit would happen, and Tweety Bird would break the fourth wall and look in the camera and say, "They don't know me too well, do they?" So anyway, so there I am in Johnson City, and so they have a really good Kroger. That's the only place there's Kroger's. It's Johnson City. They don't have them any place else, and that's one of my favorite because they give me gas points. And if I do most of my shopping there, I can get months worth of gas for 40% less, right? 20 cents off a gallon. So I don't know what it is. I haven't gotten gas at Kroger's in a while. So anyway, that's the only Kroger. So that's one reason. There's an amazing bookstore because there's a big college there. It's been there forever. And the people who work there are great and they're real librarians and read, and so I go in there and they love it when I come in there because we just talk about books and literature and I always ask them for interesting stuff. And so they have discounts, right? If you're a student, if you're a teacher, if you're a public school teacher, if you're this or you're that, and they actually have an Al Bob discount. And the Al Bob discount is they give me like a cardboard box, and I fill it up with books, and they kind of look through them and make sure there's not like any rare thing that I might go up and sell for more money. But pretty much every book I got, and they've never said, "Oh, you can't have that book," but they do kind of look through it and see what I get. And then I open up my wallet, and whatever cash I have there, or whatever, or I put whatever cash I want to spend on books in my pocket, I will pull it out of my pocket and pull it, and that is the Al Bob discount. Because what I do is I read, they know I read fast, and I read all those books, and the ones I don't like, say, I'm keeping this book and underlined it and dog ear pages. The ones that I just read and don't, make marks on, they will take back at, place, well, they sold it to me for almost nothing, but that is part of the Al Bob discount. So there's Kroger's Al Bob discount, and there's an amazing, herbal everything alternative store. And I have an Al Bob discount there because when I come there, she has a little table, right? And she will put a nice little, I show up and I want stuff. I kind of put it in a box. She puts it over there. She takes it as a fair Mexican restaurant. And they have pretty good, she's a vegetarian, pretty good vegetarian food. So we go, she takes me to lunch and then she takes me there. And then I sit there at the table for an hour or two before the sun starts. If it's summertime, maybe 3 or 4, right? And she will come and talk, and she has maybe 15 employees that day will come, and I will give them readings about what's ever bothering them. And these people actually get a lot out of that. And she has gotten a lot out of what I've told her. And then, her special friends, and she'll call up and, "Hey, Al Bob's in my store. He'll be here in a couple hours. Why don't you come on down?" So I will give 10 or 15 people a reading every time I go to Johnson City if I'm not doing something else, right? And then she takes me over to this really nice restaurant in this shopping center and buys me dinner. And then, gives me all of the stuff I wanted from her store for, nothing. And usually, a Benjamin or, a few Jacksons. And so that's why I go to Johnson City, right? So, and with the eye thing, that was like the other things I would, when I'm, okay, if I'm there, and plus they also have a Harbor Freight. The only place there's a Harbor Freight around. And they also have one of the only places, there is another Tractor Supply, but it's in the total opposite direction when there's nothing else I would go to. So it has a Harbor Freight, Tractor Supply, bookstore, the health food place, my eye doctor, and a Kroger's, right? So, and they have the best Bojangles. And so I kind of come in, through the college. I go, if I'm going to see anybody, I will go there. And they have this really, it's almost like, Alexa. They have this place that if you go into the student center, they have a phone that you can, and they have a listing of all the professors. So you can go there. I mean, I know these people's phone numbers, so I can call them up that way too. So, I will, driving in, I will call them up and say, hey, it's almost lunchtime. I'm going to lunch. We're going to go to the health food store. And so if they want to, otherwise, and they said, no, but I do have 10, 15 minutes. You want to go get a cup of coffee over at, they have a very nice student center. And, I'll go see them. We'll spend 15 minutes to an hour. And that's, so I'm a guy who goes through a pattern. So I kind of drive in, hit that place first, call them up. Anybody wants to have coffee, we do that. If not, I hit the Bojangles. Best Bojangles, best biscuit, best eggs, always hot. The bowl rounds are always crisp and hot, and their coffee, big cups of coffee, still $4.50, right? And then next to the Bojangles, there's an amazing liquor store. I have a friend, she really likes peanut butter whiskey. And there's this one brand that she really likes. And she also I got her into liking patties. And now that everything's kumbaya in Ireland, they sell patties, and they sell that there. So they sell, if you go get patties at any place that might even have it, it's $20-$30. This place, $15 all the time, a liter of it. Really. So I go there, and these people I've known for a long time. And the guy, grandpa who started it, I read, 15 years ago, I read his palm. Then I read his kid's palm, his daughter's palm, his wife's palm, all the employees' palm. So grandpa, grandma, the kids, they're alive, but they're like having fun. But they have a staff, some of their kids. And so I walk in, Al Bob, and I get the Al Bob. In Johnson City, I have the Al Bob discount. So, because I've been here 20 years. And so, so I first hit the school, and we don't go get coffee at the student center. I go to the Bojangles and the liquor store, because I have this one friend who she comes and visits, and she loves that stuff. And she drinks enough. She gets a little frisky. But otherwise, we just sit, and she has nice boo. We smoke, we talk. She's very smart. But she's almost, asexual in a lot of ways. But she does get frisky every now and then. And I'm the one guy who can scratch that itch, right? And so there's one person I have I've had a nice long relationship with, but we've never lived together. We're not boyfriend, girlfriends, but we are really good friends. And we have this platonic love for each other. And she's really smart. And she has amazing stories. She was she had a fishing company, and she was a fishing captain in New England. She had like 5 boats, and she beat the crap out of any of the seamen. These guys, she beat, how she kept them alive. She'd beat the crap out of them. And she has scars all over the place. She was belonged to a motorcycle gang, but she has a PhD in theology. She went to Columbia, and then she went to Columbia for undergrads, and she got a NSW, and then there's a really good theology. I think it's Presbyterian or Methodist. It's where the Kaufman had the big church. He was head of that, and really good theology school. I mean, that's how I met her. I used to go in classes there, and I met her there. And then, she goes to New England and becomes a, the nook of the sea. And then I meet her friggin' in, Johnson City one day at Kroger's. And it's like, what? And she has a nice little place out in the hills, and she just likes her privacy. And she, she goes to Kroger's, same reason I do. And she kind of goes to the library at the university. And I met her at least 8 years ago when she first got here and bought her little mountain retreat. backside of Johnson City used to be unbelievably beautifully rural all the way to the city limits, right? And now it's been just sliced up, and so that's what's going to happen to my neighborhood in the next few years. But I'll have to move someplace else, or I'll be raptured. So, what's Graham saying here? What's a 14 balls of steel? Ireland peace, folks. Number there for on your hands 13. Is it 26? Yes, I think so. Or 28 or 22. Well, when I get on all Tom self brother. Yep. So put this on. It's amazing that John took the, unless I dropped it someplace. I might have dropped it someplace. But I was making fun of Fauci and everything so much he got upset. So 3 hours and 6 minutes. 4 people, 8 thumbs up. How about some more thumbs up, gang? Remember, anyone want to get a hold of me at the dudewake42 at Gmail. The bottom line of everything is that love is all there is, right? I guess I'm not going to be using my phone because it won't put it there. I have a sense that when John knocked off, what's his name? He made it so I can go on, and if you're online, you can see it, but it won't go into my hall of history. And so, I won't be using it as much. 3M. 1AN 14. Yeah. So I love you guys. And I'm going to do one tonight. So what time is it now? Oh, it's 1:25. So yes, been talking for a long time. I'm hungry, and I'm going to make myself something tasty rather than the movie meal. Boop, 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 boop. So I'm going to hit this. Let's see, what's it? 307. Oh, when it's 307.33, which it just did. There you go. Love you guys. Talk to you later. See you tonight.